Welcome to the LXC.
Down in the rift again, where champions ascend. Warden League lights the night.
Aggressive position here as we see Cherry going in with the Ghost. We see the Ramhorn come out, land on Ruffian, but I think they are sitting behind the tower. I think it's going to be very hard to find an angle here as we see 3 people hit by the charm here. Zeri immediately dies. Not Zeri, Lilia dies here. And we see Lilia is getting in. Udyr picks up the kill on her. And now Corky Quality's in a great spot, but Alternative gets in there. He gets 2! That is an absolutely massive shadow. He's able to land so much damage, and right now it's just Quality. And right now the members of Contingent Orange are having to back out, but I think Quality's going to be able to pick it up unless Peels lands the nasty flash. I think right now that ends up being pretty disastrous. Power dive, but the wave is cleared too fast, but the culling comes out. There's a lot of damage, but the silence, very good value there from the Soraka, and Lucian is very chunked out in the back, but Zohair is getting a lot of value. He's able to land the 3-man sleep, and it's getting so much value. They're getting such an excellent turnaround as Orn's able to pick up the double kill, as Corky's able to pick up the shutdown on Udyr. This is absolutely not what you want to see if you're Contingent Orange. That is a great turn. Oh, but speaking of, a great pick there from Zohair as he's able to force out Cherry's ultimate. Or not the ultimate, the flash. As we see now, the seismic shut goes wide, but Alternative is doing a lot of damage to Valkaz. I think Valkaz isolated. The flash is not enough as Mocha's still able to land on it. But Zohair is trying to buy enough time. Ruffian is getting the ultimate out. Quality. I don't know if he used his ultimate, but he's going to be falling here as Alternative is still able to do damage. Peels is buying so much time for their team as they're pinging the Wukong on the backside. Ruffian falls to the Ezreal. Ezreal's able to pick up the double kill, and Zohair is not enough HP to potentially in this off. Ladies, gentlemen, righteous, welcome one, welcome all to semifinals here of Warden League here at the League of Extraordinary Champions, right? We have this excellent matchup here, semifinals. It's a rematch between a match we saw, I think, 3 weeks ago between Contingent Orange and Akuma Shurikens. As mentioned before, I'm joined here by Righteous as my excellent color caster. Righteous, how's it going?
Dude, I'm doing great. I'm excited. Best of 5. I mean, the back of my mind, I'm not hoping it goes 4-5 games, but the league player in me, I'm super excited for a potential 5-game series. Especially, with how that last week ended for Orange, ending in an 0-2, sending them down 2 play-ins. Kind of looking for a bounce back, a prove it game in this rematch here in playoffs for these semifinals. I'm excited.
Yeah, 100%, right? And I mean, we talked about, I guess, that matchup here, but there are a couple differences. The main difference is the top lane matchup for Akuma, right? Last time they played with IBM, I Breed Men. I'm going to use IBM just for my sake. But he's currently Masters player. But right now we see Akuma is opting into using 9-line Klein, which I believe right now he's currently ranked Emerald. So I think that ends up being, if for your team, for team's sake, probably you're feeling good. I think rank-wise on paper, though, I feel like Contingent Orange is probably they're probably giving a sigh of relief. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Yeah, and I mean, it goes back to that last matchup we saw, right? IBM stepped in. Game 1 in that series on the Olaf went 8-1-3, went absolutely crazy into an Ornn. We know that Ornn is kind of a favored pick for the opposing top laner. So, like you said, probably a sign of relief. You don't necessarily expect an Olaf pop-off again, but other than that, I mean, these teams are pretty even across the board. I think Contingent Esport Orange is like a sneaky play-in team. They were doing so well throughout the regular season. Ultimately got bumped down there, I think, at the very last week. And so this is not like a pushover game for Akuma. I know they're coming in as the number 1 seed, but you can't overlook this team, especially in a best of 5 where anything can happen.
Absolutely. And I mean, I know we talked about that top lane matchup, right? Mr. Peel's a big Ornn fan, but I also think the mid lane matchup, when looking on paper, is probably where I'm going to be seeing the most action and what I'm the most interested in, right? Dab is sitting at Diamond 3 currently. He had an excellent performance last time I got to cast him, playing an excellent game, supporting that misfortune as Oriana. But on the other side, Alternative, right? Just hit Master. Congrats to him. I think that is a pretty big skill difference, at least on paper, right? Maybe these teams, they are prepared. They're going to have that team synergy, but I think that solo queue rank is something I'm at least looking out for, and we'll have to see if that ends up impacting the match at all.
Yeah, and solo queue rank is, all fine and good, but when it comes to team play, you have to change how you play with the team, right? Solo queue is like all about me. Like I'm gonna be the carry, I'm gonna 1v9 this game. When it comes to team play, you have to make some sacrifices or some plays outside of your normal comfort zone for the sake of the team. And so I'm just thinking about, the last time we saw Contingent Orange, mid lane alternative, the game one Zed didn't necessarily work out when we saw it, and that's kind of like one of those solo queue picks. Right? Like this point we're kind of driving home is, you know, you pick the Zed and you pick it early, expect some counter picks, and expect this team to play around you, to put you down. And so, I think it was a lesson learned, and we'll see how the rest of the series shakes out. But um, I keep going back. I'm excited. I'm ready for this draft. I'm waiting. I think we're waiting for a couple more people, but
Yeah,
super excited.
they're all trickling in, right? I mean,
Hmm.
hey, I know alternative that Zed pick was a little early. I think if that pick goes a little bit later in that draft, it's crazy, right? We saw
Hmm.
even the picks where he got the opportunity to pop off, right? Even in that intro video, right? He got like a really nice double kill under the tower, kind of kept that team in the game a little bit. I think if you have those pocket picks, they're very good, but I think you just got to be a little cautious when kind of like pick order goes around because I
Hmm.
think if you have like those like really strong assassins mid lane and saving those picks for like your R5, your later picks, those can work. Right. And I think that could be something, especially in a series that's going to go potentially to 5 games. You're going to maybe be seeing some cheeky picks come out from these players. And I think an alternative Zed in the right spot, hey, that could be pretty baller, I think.
Yeah, and you know, stats don't tell the whole story, right? The little snippets of a whole picture, right? But I have a crazy style for you, okay? So Contingent Esport Orange, they got dropped down to the 4 seed, had to do the play-ins, ended up winning 2-1. Of their 5 players, 4 of them rank in the top 8 for gold per minute. So number one's actually Bewa, Alternative is number 3, Cherry number 6, and Peel's number 8. And so just to kind of paint a picture of like if you're Akuma, you can't be overlooking this team. These are really solid players, especially when it came to league play. The standings are what they are, but now in a best of 5, you have potential 5 games to pull off an upset if you're Contingent Esport Orange. But I think for them, I don't think it is an upset. I think they are one of the best teams, if not the best team in the league, and so they can't really, in my mind, shouldn't sneak up on Akuma. Akuma should be, locked into these players and saying like these guys are good, and if we're not careful, upsets can't happen.
Absolutely. And I mean, also, I guess while we're still waiting on draft to start, I think we honestly needed to kind of talk about the champs that we could be seeing, right? I know we've mentioned it a lot, but Peels on the Ornn is a very big staple for him. But I'm trying to think, what are some potential bans that we could be seeing from either of these teams, right? Maybe the Cherry Belveth comes out. We see a Nasus and Cinna bans in the past. Do you think there are any like maybe sleeper champs on the patch that like some of these teams might be wanting to play today?
Yeah, I mean, we had the opportunity to cast last night, right? We were talking about some patch changes, and we actually saw a team opt into a smolder mid post nerf, and it didn't really go well. And so, your
Yeah.
guess is as good as mine, right? I have an understanding that I think Nasus is still pretty good. I think Jarvan's kind of rising up in priority, especially in team fight play.
Hmm.
These teams they love to play around the dragons, so it could be a potential ban, or if it's not ban worthy, an early pick. Um, but your guess is as good as mine. I don't think there's really any. I look at the patch. I don't see any like OPs. I see good champs, but nothing that's like turbo broken. You have to ban it on red. If you can't play, you have to ban it on blue. So we'll see how this 5 game kind of mini meta shapes out.
Hmm. I completely agree. And while we're still waiting to get into draft, it does look like they're gonna take a little bit of like 5 minutes before we start this draft. I think there was a miscommunication of what would be the starting top laner for the side of Akuma. But while they're working on that, they're probably figuring out the draft plans like we are. I think Senna is still pretty high in priority. I'm trying to think. I also am hoping. I know we talked about this yesterday as well, right? But we saw kind of like the rise in like those burst mage items, kind of like popping back up, right? The Ludens, the Storm Surge, the Shadow Flame. I'm wanting to see if alternative or Dab are willing to kind of play more of like the, I guess I call them like the initiator mids more so. Like I kind of think of like Ari, the Nico, Lissandra in some cases, right? These like burst mages that kind of like want to get a fight started are stuff
Mhm.
that I'm really enjoying as a mid laner right now. I think it has a lot of agency, as well as paired with a lot of the AD junglers that are getting buffed, right? Viegos and Zhao. These champs are hopefully going to be strong, and hopefully they overshadow the Corkis and the Maokais that I've been seeing for months now.
And last night, right, talking about burst mages, if you're an avid watcher of LXC Crusader, Ooze Slayer on that Syndra, we saw an adaptation where it was actually Shadow Flame Rush. Looked really good. Now, granted, it was against, a double 80 carry comp, and so I think it would have looked good regardless. But to your point, lots of power in those mage items. Potentially, even bot lane. Not necessarily burst mage, but I think Ziggs might find a priority, especially if it's gonna continue to be an MF meta. So we'll have to see. I think if you're in a 5 game series, your best bet to shake up the meta is game one, right? That's where you
Yep.
kind of pull out your surprise picks. You pull out kind of all the stops, catch them off guard, get that 1 game lead in the series, and then go from there, right? Shaping and influence that 5 game meta. It's kind of like I don't know, Badger, if you're a big baseball watcher.
Hmm.
But it's like a pitcher's count, right? Like
Yep.
when you get up to bat, 0-0, it's anybody's guess for that first pitch. He's gonna throw a ball, strike, whatever. But then as the count progresses, it kind of favors one side more than the other, and so you really want to get that first game win to kind of set the tone for the rest of the series and put your mark.
Hmm. I think yeah. I know you said the baseball reference. I always I guess in these long series kind of use the, I think it's a tennis analogy where it's like who's breaking serve, right? So the idea is kind of like we saw that I think it is contingent. Or who got the? I'm trying to see who had side select to start this
Should have
game.
been Akuma.
It is Akuma. So Akuma technically has. Yep, it is Akuma who had advantage. They did choose to start this game at red side. But if we see that maybe the team that didn't get side select is able to win this game, they technically will have control over what side they want for a majority of the series, if that is what matters, right? If the team that gets like a specific side is the one that wins, we could see that Contingent Orange could take that back over. But we'll have to see if that ends up actually mattering. Maybe I'm going a little too crazy. But we're gonna have to see how this draft ends up starting as we're in it now.
Here we go. Draft for game one of semifinals here in LXC. And like I said, I think it's anybody's guess to see like what these teams' meta reads are. We see continued Smolder Proud, the Smolder
Guys, he's
coming out
not
from
real. I
Contingent.
promise he's not. Oh, I hate him. I hate
He
seeing him.
didn't
I mean, I guess I'm glad he's banned and he's not in our games, right? But I
he didn't look
still,
good last night. I'll say that.
yeah, it had its moments, but I just don't think it's as strong as it was on patch. I think a lot of people are still kind of relying on comfort. And speaking of comfort, that's Belbeth. Cherry's one of her staple picks, right? We've seen it get through a couple times, and it's kind of nasty. So I think it's a good ban.
Okay, Ivern is definitely a good ban. I'm a big, LS fan. He was having his numerous Twitter arguments. He's saying enchanter items are the most gold efficient items in the game right now. And we saw how powerful Ivern in like FlyQuest Inspired's hand looked as we see a Nasus ban in response, taking it away from Peels, who
Hmm.
looked really good in that game 3 on that pick.
Yep. I think
Misfortune
he
standard ban.
Yeah, he got it done. Misfortune Sander, but Jinx ban. I think she got the buff on this patch, right? They're kind
Hmm.
of trying to make sure that like, hey, they want Jinx in Worlds, right? It's Arcane Season 2 is coming out. You obviously need your champ there, so they gave her a little bit of compensation buffs, but Akuma Shurikens aren't about it. But
Yeah. No Danny Penta for Contingent.
no, Danny, rest in peace. That guy's a goat. But anywho, we're gonna see what this first pick is gonna be for Contingent Orange, right? What have they been cooking this week off? What have they been preparing for themselves? And it's Ash. We've seen it a
All
couple
right.
times. We've seen it a lot. It's a great blind pick. Talk about it all the time.
Yeah, and I'm a little scared about Ash. The last series we saw Contingent Orange in, it was a lot of like Ash Ornn on the top, Ash on the bot side. It didn't look super great when we saw it. I think both teams ended up playing that, and both teams lost. And so I'm a little hesitant about the Ash pick just because of the rounds of nerf. She's not as, she doesn't have as much HP
Yeah.
anymore. But it's a good setup tool, a really good team fighter.
Ooh, and the one
And there's
champ.
that Senna.
Yeah, they didn't ban it this time, and they're going to
And there's the
instantly lock into
Jarvan.
it with the Jarvan. We talked
We
about these two champs. It's crazy,
we
but
yeah, we're actually doing our job pretty well here.
mm-hmm,
So really great team fight setup for Akuma Shurikens, right? Jarvan going in, and champs that go in that don't necessarily have an out. It's a little scary, but the Senna shields, the healing is just so powerful right now.
mm-hmm.
So it kind of lessens that worry. So we'll see what the response is here.
Absolutely. And I think Senna is it makes sense to pick it this early, right? It's a very strong champion, even with that first round of nerfs. But Jarman, I'm a little surprised about, and I'm going to be more surprised if they lock Gwen in this early. That could potentially be a Gwen jungle for Cherry, but it is still that flexible option between top and jungle. I'm very surprised to see it at this point in the game. I think Nine Line Klein can come up with a pretty good counter pick into it, but maybe
Yeah,
that's why they want to just pick it as that flex. So
I
who's to
I
say?
think you definitely pick it up as a flex, but it's really good. It's really powerful into the Jarvan, right? You just set up your W, you sit in the Jarvan ult, and then you just wail on that guy. With the ulties, Jarvan doesn't have a lot of room to, dodge out on those ult projectiles, and so I expect it to go jungle. That's my expectation. Obviously, it still is a flex, but um, probably going in Cherry's hands. And we see Leona, Ash Leona, name a more consistent bot lane duo since pretty much the early days of the league.
I mean, that's true, but you also got to think how consistent is it going to be that this AD carry is going to be taking cleanse at this point in the game, right? If you're playing
True.
into Ashe Leona, that is the freest cleanse of your life. But actually, Renata Glask is locked in. I think this is now an AD Senna confirmed for the side of Akuma Shurikens.
So a lot of the times you see AD Senna, it still goes fasting, but it's like a jack of all trades build that you go. Lots of it seems like a hodgepodge of random items, but ultimately really strong, puts on a lot of damage. Plus that healing and shielding kind of takes a little bit of a backseat, but it's still really strong. You have the Renata Glass going over the top of the Jarvan ult. This just screams team fight. So we'll see how Contingent responds, but I'm kind of looking team fight of their own, right? With the Leona ult, the Ashe. So it looks like a lot of 5v5 here in the future of game one.
But they're saying, hey, we're not letting the Goat Man get through and impact these 5v5s, right? I feel like Ornn, we talked about it, Peels, big Ornn fan, right? That champion is a staple, and it will always kind of bring that initial engage you kind of want from top lane. Everybody's like, oh, can you play Ornn? Can you do this? And it's good. But on the other side, Dab getting that respect ban, I think it's a very good ban, especially when Jarvan is on the table to ban that Orianna. Very solid pairing and just great use. Great work.
Yeah, and with this Jarvan pick, you want to have these solo lanes that either can buff him or set him up, right? Really, high priority skirmisher, especially with that percent max HP buff going up by 1 as we see Cassante ban. So banning out some safe top blind picks. Good call. We're most likely seeing potentially a top on R4 for Akuma Shurikens with those picks. I would assume, anyways, you're banning for the blind. As we wait for this last ban to come through, probably it looks like he's going to be mid. Which I mean, they might pivot and say like we think they're going to go top on R4, so let's take one of those champions out. As we see Yone, I guess could go either way. So kind of a safe overall ban.
Yeah, I think Peels has shown games on the Yone, especially when playing against an Ornn. And I'm guessing also that it does look like Alternative has some time on it as well. So I think it's a solid ban, just stopping both the top and mid from getting that free potential flex as well. But I want to go back and talk about, I guess, the Ornn and Cassante ban from the side of Akuma is really kind of limiting Peels' options here for a blind, I guess, top side. They're expecting him to be weak side here with those bans. So they want to just limit the amount of availability here. And Rise
Okay.
actually comes out. That is technically a flex still between mid and top. I actually think it could go either way from this point in the draft.
Yeah, especially if it's a blind pick top. You let the Rise kind of do what it wants into a top melee that doesn't really have any kill threat. Now, granted, it could potentially set up pressure, or you could just opt for the Gwens that go into it and kind of scale alongside it. But I still expect the Gwen to be a jungle pick. So we'll have to see as we see Gragas maybe in
Gragoose.
response.
We'll see. Technically, that champ is a quad flex. I think at this point in the game, though, it has the opportunity to go anywhere in the top side, right? Top, jungle, or mid. I'm honestly not sure yet where it would go. I think they're still trying to decide, hey, is Rise going mid? Is Gragas going mid? They're doing a great job of kind of just keeping both drafts open.
Mhm.
to just have that availability. But I'm expecting some AD to come out here for the side of Contingent Orange, regardless if it's top. But we see
Okay.
Yasuo actually coming out, potentially blind. That is a staple pick there, and that actually pairs super well with the Gragas.
Yeah, and so now in my mind, I'm thinking it's a Gragas jungle just so you can have so much pressure in mid lane with the Yasuo pairing. You know, flex that Gwen top like we talked about, and you have skirmishing kind of all around. Gragas can has a lot of base damage, can definitely do work early, right alongside that Jarvan. So we'll have to see how the early game is tracked by these two
Ooh.
junglers and
And Mr.
Mordekaiser, but
Kaiser is brought out as the response, right? I think I've seen R5 Mordekaiser more times than I can count, right? And all the times I've been casting, right? That champion is so strong, it absolutely shuts down. Like, you're trying to get that 5v5 team fight, bam, he's going to grab you. He's going to take you with him. And I think technically a lot of these matchups are good for Mordekaiser, right? Maybe the only one that I think is bad is potentially Gragas, because Gragas can kind of kite him out pretty well. But
mhm,
still, I think it's a very solid pick. I think your team, if you're Akuma, is a little AP heavy.
mhm.
With the rise of Mordekaiser as your solo lanes, I think Senna, she can still do that late game deeps, but it's kind of just up to her and Jarvan to kind of get that done. So we'll have to see how these comps end up playing out.
Yeah, I think in the extended fight, it's definitely Contingent Orange favored, right? But you do have a lot of burst and disengage as well from Akuma, right? We talk about the Run of Glass ult coming over Jarvan ult, but it can also be used to disengage these champs that want to stick on you, right? The Gwen, the Yasuo, the Gragas, and so we'll have to see how these skirmishes and team fights end up being played out. But I do agree. I think Akuma is lacking a little bit in this AD damage, which could get scary the longer the fights go on. But I mean, it's Senna, right? You're going to be scaling for the whole game, and so especially with this Jack of all trades build that I expect to see, so should be okay in that department, just not so much early.
hmm I think Contingent Orange, like you said, definitely has that early game strong sided comp, right? You have so much skirmish power with the Gragas, with the Yasuo, with the Gwen that on that top side. And if you just throw a Leona roaming and an Ashe ultimate on top of it, I think it's really scary, especially for the rise of all champs. Like, he's got to be playing super cautious, right? He can run away with Phase Rush, but that's a lot of CC that you're going to have layered onto you. And they're going to be looking for these plays around the map here. But also
So
kind
far,
of.
yeah, that Graga is locked in for
Mhm.
potentially top. I guess they could flex during this time, but it's gonna be like phase rush Gragas. It doesn't necessarily do horrible into ranged matchups with all the sustain that's built into his kit. You just gotta watch out on the mana use. But
Mhm.
it's still, like you were saying, great setup for the Gwen, and then that mixed damage between the Gwen and the Yasuo for mid.
Mhm. I do think I was gonna ask like where we think these champions are going, but we do probably see with these top three picks where each champ is. The Gragas top, Gwen jungle, Yasuo mid. I think it's a really solid combo. I also think on the other side, Jarvan is gonna have a hard time locking down this team at the end of the day. Other than potentially Ashe, I think you have to be really, really, really cautious and hold on to your combo to make sure you're able to land all your stuff. But good response here. Right now, leaning at this point, I'm probably leaning to more towards Contingent Orange's comp for this game. I think if this Yasuo was able to get ahead, he has a lot of tools to kind of take it home. But what about you, Righteous?
I mean, it really just depends on how the early game goes, in my opinion, right? Contingent has probably the better early game of the two, and Scale kind of alongside Akuma. If you're looking at Akuma's side, you have a Scan of the Shrine of Scale as well as that Rise in the mid lane. Kind of limits the options of what Jarvan can do and play around, right? Um, Not to say that he can't do anything early game. Definitely a powerful early game champion, can make these lanes work, but you'd like to see a little bit more of a higher skirmish opportunity with this Jarvan pick, and I don't really see that anywhere except for maybe top. But it's Gragas, right? It's really hard to get Gragas, especially post 6. Mordekaiser can lock him in, but like you said, he has sustain, he has that self peel, 4 peels, and
Mhm.
I'll probably the one saving grace is that it's 4 melees for a Jarvan Renata to kind of
That's true.
abuse in team fights. And so I'm leaning towards Contingent Orange just because of the ease of the early game. But I don't think it's necessarily, I don't see like a massive draft gap. I think both teams, if piloted properly, can look really strong. I think it's just up to Akuma to not punt the early game, not have the Jarvan go too far.
hmm
maybe give up a couple drags or whatever neutral objective is contested. So
Yeah,
uh,
100%. But we'll have to see, right? When we're gonna cut the spectator delay, and we'll be back as soon as game starts.
Show it, tell me what you feel in your heart and your soul. There's nothing I would take for granted. With me, we'll make it through. Takes two hearts to fix heartbreak. We grew apart, I made a mistake, but I'll try to make it up to you, my darling. Ooh.
I wanna be a real one day. Heaven leaves me up from under. Wishing I could be somehow stronger now,
So I can fight away all the pain inside me. Never be afraid of the fate that finds me. Wish that I could be stronger, so I can be a real one day. So I can fight away all the pain inside me. Never be afraid of the fate that finds me. Wish that I could be stronger, so I can be a real one day. We keep running faster and faster. I don't know what we're after, yeah. We keep up with disaster, disaster. I'm thinking that they're after me. We're running like faster and faster. We're running like faster and faster. corners on the wall, staring back at me. Stranger in the hall, frozen by the scene. Portraits seem to fade. He lost his centerpiece. Can't recall his face. I hope he'll rest in peace. Haunted by my mind, victim or the prey. Everything is fine. Take me to my grave. Bury me alive, keeping me astray. Hard to say goodbye to who.
Welcome back after that little hiatus here. I think we had a bathroom emergency on one of the players' side, but that doesn't matter, right? We're into the series, and looks like we see
Wow.
all members are getting
Getting a
involved mid
5v5
lane
right
here.
up.
Yeah, except for Renata. Renata's just hanging out, I guess, making sure nothing happens, but they're just feeling each other out, right? I don't think any shenanigans are going to happen, but Cherry's kind of getting a little aggressive. Yeah, but Mocha's really the only person who can kind of pull this trigger here. But we see Mordekaiser walk down, Renata, also Boulder trying to get involved, but Boulder is doing a good job of just hanging out, making sure no shenanigans happens, and well, little aggressive early game, even though nothing ended up happening.
Yeah, and it was really good on Orange, right? They're the team that has the Leona Ash combo, and so there's a lot of potential power in the level 1 there, and so they kind of force Akuma out, get that vision on the blue, and so the vision war being won by Contingent Esports Orange so far, as we see Boulder getting a little
Boulder
cheeky.
might be in a bit of a bad spot here, as Mocha does spot it out, but I don't think they have enough abilities here to kind of get all of it done. But Mocha's doing a great
Boulder
job of kind of zoning
cracked.
Boulder out. We see the stun start on Boulder, right? I think they're just going to be trading back and forth here, but we see a flash and Ignite come out, and I think that is a dead Boulder. Boulder, you extended a little too far there, boss, and that is first blood over to this Ashe really early into the game.
Yeah, if you're Boulder, I think you just have to walk aggressively, and then just if Mocha goes on you, you just flash towards your Ash, right? Instead, it was, putting yourself kind of into a corner for a boxing analogy. You're pinned on the ropes, and didn't look too great. Unfortunate how this game 1 starts out for Boulder, but shouldn't be the end of the world.
Speaking of unfortunate, it was mentioned, but we saw that Cherry got spotted on the ward attacking what is supposed to be Septi's blue, right? So I think if both teams are aware, I don't know, both teams are going to be spotted here. Both junglers are. Jarvan gets spotted on these Raptors, but looking at it, I think there could be the opportunity for a vertical jungle at this point in the game, right? And I think that is what Contingent Orange is going to be wanting here, right? Ashe Leona is really strong early here. They have a lot of setup for this Gwen, and while Gwen isn't the strongest early game champ, I think that is still something that Cherry's probably leaning towards.
Well, and it makes sense to vertical jungle when you're one of the teams that have prioritized stacking Drakes, and you just burned support's flash, right? Now you have to be scared of potential dive. Probably could have came out if Cherry chose to do so. Instead, is gonna back and maybe look to aggress on her blue side, see if she can catch out Jarvan.
That's what it seems. Maybe she is banking on the fact that they were like, hey, maybe she took the wolves. You're going to be here on a timer, but it looks like Septi, he's able to smite it, even though alternatives showing up, linking in the face, right? So we know that Jarvan's trying to contest this Gromp, but I think Cherry is on the way here. There is the opportunity for something to happen. As we see, he does the flag and drag, so he doesn't have a whole lot left in the combo as Cherry shows up kind of at the opportune time, but also cutting top lane here. Peels is trying to aggressively trade onto 9-line Klein, but I think he's going to be fine, right? He's Gragas. He's got a little bit of leeway here. As that top lane skirmish ends up being hope for not, but it looks like Leona, Mocha's doing a great job of moving up here into the mid lane, but we see it might be a 2v2. The flag and drag goes wide as Alternative does a great job of sidestepping it with the E. Mocha's trying to buy time with the stun with the Zenith Blade. It lands on Septi. Septi is the primary target here. We get a lot of damage coming out. The flash is not able to come out, and Alternative, he's not able to get that finishing blow as a tornado, and unfortunately does not go all the way. And that was a lot of battling with what we said, no kills on the board for either team.
Yeah, no sums burned either. So I think if you're either team, you're okay. Peel's getting really low. Just to back off and be able to TP back in.
I think, yep, he did. He went with the tier start, so he does still have his
staying.
TP up. But if you're Peels, you're kind of feeling the pressure right now, right? You're a mana champion, and Mordekaiser, he has all the sustain in the world, right? If he's going to be able to do damage, he's going to be able to heal. And I think right now Peels needs to try to find a good back angle because right now he is taking a beating right now, and it's gonna be getting bloody if
he's a
he
cute
doesn't find
flash
an
away
angle.
from being killed potentially. He really needs to be careful here.
I'm very, very surprised he didn't get punished for that either. Looking for just maybe like a really quick trade from 9-line Klein, but we're seeing that back that we expected, and pretty solid early lead coming out for our 9-line Klein here.
Yeah, and Orange, I mean, despite Peels kind of taking the brunt of probably what is a worse early game matchup for Gragas, should even out as time goes on. Orange taking out a little bit of lead thanks to that first blood, almost 1,000 gold here at 5 minutes. And so, if you're them, you just want to continue to incrementally increase that lead, take the advantages that you have. Boulder still with the flash down for a little bit, drag up, but. This Gwen just going around clearing camps, playing for that first item. Opted for an early dark seal. Expecting this game to get bloody, I guess. As we see,
guess
Alfredo
so.
take a aggressive trade into dab here. Two
Aggressive
tower
trade, but he
shots.
takes a lot of towers, so it makes it not end up being what he wants to see. And I know I was gonna cut to C, but I think Dab is trying to get the aggression on. But Mocha's in the area, but we see Septi and Mocha. They found each other again, right? We saw this 2v2 earlier, but this time they're just gonna stun and walk away here.
Ooh,
Oh.
Klein ulting and flashing on top of Peels. Peels stuck right outside drag or
And it was a
tower range.
great flash,
Oh.
great flash to keep that keep it alive, but still, yep. Now we see on the back, we see 9-line Klein is trying to get the advantage, but an advantage is going over to potentially Akuma here, as they're the first on this Drake, and it doesn't look like Cherry is going to contest. It looks like she's going to take the grubs as a prize instead here, which I think
And I
is
think
the move.
Yeah, if you're the Gwen, I think you're okay with this trade, right? You want the experience. You want to be level 6 before, potentially team fighting over an objective. And so you're okay with that. But unfortunately, Mordekaiser does have the advantage at the top side. Cherry has to be a little nervous here.
She's gonna walk away. She's got alternative to hang out with. But one thing I also wanted to mention, maybe you can, is we were gonna talk about, is the Senna gonna be the one to farm? Is she gonna be the one to or to take in souls? And right
She
now
is.
she's down 10 farm, so it looks like she's farming. But
Yeah.
maybe she missed a couple of those on purpose to get souls.
Well,
Who's to say?
she didn't do the support item, right? So
Mhm.
she has to farm.
Mhm.
If Renata took the farm here, it'd just be not golden fishing, and so
Mhm.
we'll see how. I'm curious to see how the Senna build shapes up. Potentially looking with that Ruby Crystal and Longsword, a Black Cleaver first item would be interesting to see. I don't think there's a lot of armor stacking champions on this side of Orange, but I know it's pretty standard. So
Mhm. I think while there is Leona, actually, I would kind of argue Gragas, he can go this AP build, but he can potentially be a pretty tanky boy. But when you're playing into Mordekaiser, it's tough, right? But that Leona, she's even with a lot of the nerfs that have been thrown at her, I think you still got to be a little cautious if you're trying to build that 80 damage. But we'll
yeah,
see. Is just some aggressive
smooth sailing
trading.
so far. Despite that first blood, bot lane, you're playing a Senna, you're scaling. Not expected to win the lane, just kind of play alongside it, and so both teams okay with how this game state is probably going. But blue contingent, orange, definitely incrementally increasing that lead, almost 1,500 now. It was one, so. Oh
Yeah.
man, feels are getting so low on this lane.
Like I said, I was gonna say, I think a lot of this lead is just coming from this top lane matchup, right? Mordekaiser has just been able to apply so much pressure under Peels' tower here. Even though 9-line Klein is only up 7 farm, I think this Gragas just being constantly under pressure, getting poked down slowly but surely, right? He's gonna be bleeding some of these creeps, because even a Gragas can't be perfect under tower most of the time. But I think that really has to be something that they're going to be worrying about if you are Contingent Orange. But Akuma, that's something they're looking for. As we see, the ulti comes out top. I think Peels is doing a good job of buying space, as it looks like they're kind of just willing to go even here. But now cutting down to the jungle here, Cherry is choosing to ult in and Ghost. I think Septi is in a pretty bad spot here as the flag and drag comes out. But Cherry, she's not able to get that final tick of the ultimate out, and it looks like Septi's going to be able to walk away. But now cutting down bot side, we actually see that the Meiwa is getting in trouble here. He's in a 1v2 situation. Leona was up top, and I don't think it's going to be enough. We see these two supports. They have a decent amount of damage, but actually Baywa gets the kill. Boulder was a little overzealous there, and that turret just did him in. That is not what you want to see from that exchange.
Boulder might be suffering a little bit from the nerves, especially after giving that first blood. Really wanted to make it right by getting Oswald the potential kill, flashing forward, using the Q. Unfortunately, taking that tower shot, that's what did him in. So Ash 2-0 right now, a driving force on this bot side, expecting second Drake to go to orange.
As we can see, and I mean, it hasn't been talked about a lot this game, but Alternative is doing a pretty good job of just kind of bleeding out. We said like these kind of like mana hungry
Ooh.
champions, right? Rise on the side of Akuma, but now we see Boulder's hanging out with him mid lane, trying to make sure his laner can get a crash in. But I think you still got to be really careful here because if Yasuo's feeling himself, he can still play really well.
Yeah, and
But
Pills keeps taking these losing trades, right? Opting for a full mana build with tier and the mana crystal, and so not gonna be doing enough damage to ever punish this Mordekaiser, especially if you look for the ult under tower or whatever. So gonna be losing out for a little bit, but like I said, as the game goes on, we'll feel a little bit better. Opting not to go the phase rush, which is a little interesting in my opinion.
comment actually.
Yeah, I would say that if you're gonna play this, kind of passive build with trying to go for the Roa, I just go with phase rush and keep yourself alive.
I do, yeah, I agree. I think it might be a bit of a mistake, but speaking of not a mistake, we see the flag and dragon. It goes a little wide there, almost lands on alternative, but nothing this time. As alternative's just going to continue using his wave, using how good Yasuo is in this early lane phase to try and inch out a lead here so we can get to late game.
Yep,
But
and it looks like it's just gonna be a trade of objectives once again. A Contingent Esports Orange setting up for this dragon, gonna give up the next set of grubs, so we won't see any grub advantage for this game one. And
But we see a lot of contention. We talk about the grubs here being contested, but we also need to talk about the fact that the members of we'll talk about that later. Alternative is getting involved. He was able to hit the ultimate, but Septi's having to flash out as now we cut back maybe to bot lane, and I think these two supports are kind of getting zoned off by Cherry kind of being in the area, right, taking that Gromp right in front of their face. And I think it's gonna end up being the reverse this side,
I
where
know it feels bad that Jarvan's gonna lose out on this last scrub and 4 is gonna go to Contingent. He was posturing like he was gonna try to steal it, but if you do, you're dead, right? And so I think you just kind of cut your losses, make sure they don't compound, and does the right thing and backs away. So actually, Contingent Esports Orange getting that 4 grubs plus the dragon, 2K gold lead here at 11.
oh, but we see an ultimate land onto Boulder, and we know Boulder, he doesn't have the sums, and I think with 3 people there, that is a dead Renata Glass. That makes 3 deaths. But now cutting back top, I think we keep cutting back every single time. Peel's forced to flash out, not going to get caught by the grasp there. And it ends up being Peel's is surviving, but at what cost? This Mordekaiser already has his Rylai's.
Well, I mean, and he's doing what bot lane should be doing for the opposite side of Akuma, right? You gotta play a little bit more safe than Boulder's willing to do, at least so far. And so, while you're losing out farm as Peels, it's not losing as hard as we see the Akuma bot lane. And so, if you're Boulder now, you just kind of have to reset mental, right? Be like, okay, I'm 0-3, but we do scale, right? We talked about the scaling options with the Rise, with the Senna, and so. We just get mentally reset.
But we
say,
see
we're out
some
of the game.
aggressive trading here as Akuma lands
There it
the
is.
flag and drag. He lands the Cataclysm right there, doing damage to Baywa. I don't think Baywa's going to have enough to lead, but we see 2 TPs come out from both teams, right? We're seeing that Yasuo alternative is coming out. He's just going to E away immediately, but we actually see a double TP on the side of Akuma there. I'm very surprised to see that. And Peels sees like, hey, I finally get a little pressure relieve top lane, and he said, I'll take a plate.
Yeah, I think the 1 TP to match mid for mid is really good, but Klein opting to leave a lane that was having so much success.
They're having to walk out, but Septi chooses to flag and drag in there, but I don't think there's going to be a lot you can do under that tower. As now we've seen a little bit of lane swappage happening, as Alternative is the one who's hanging out here bot lane, as the Tornado does not hit on anybody. He's not going to get that ultimate off this time, but he's willing to just take this big minion wave under his tower. As now, I wanted to give you time, Righteous, but I think Peels might be the one caught out next. As 9-line Klein, he's probably waiting for the opportunity to grab him, but we see Septi. The flag and drag misses, but the pull does not. We're going to see if it's enough damage. Peels does a great job of hitting the double weight body slam. The double weight body slam was able to get the kill onto Jarvan, right? That is another 1-for-1 in the 1v2 situation. These guys on Contingent Orange, no.
So good. The Peels movement dodges out on the flag and drag and then just says, Jarvan, you made a mistake. You're in my realm now, and gets the kill under the tower. And so, lots of mental lapses coming out from Akuma. And like I said, this is not a team in Contingent Esports Orange you can overlook. These guys are good. And so far, so good for them. And game 1 is showing their prowess.
And doing a great job of capitalizing on that play. But I'll talk about that later as Cherry is gonna ulti, and she's gotten so, oh my gosh, that's so much damage there. Even through, I believe, like even the ulti, it did not matter. Cherry was able to land everything, and with a fully stacked Conqueror, Gwen is going to cut you into pieces. So she's able to take that tower as a consolation prize. Not a consolation prize, that's the big prize.
Yeah, first tower and lots of gold. Like we said, I mean, Contingent Esports Orange thrives on making sure their carries get gold, and Septi might be
He's
forced out of
having a
his jungle
flash, or
here,
having to
but
having to use a smite, make sure that Peels doesn't do anything silly. But Septi, you got to be a little cautious here. There are 3 members of Orange hanging out and making sure you can't have a little bit of safety. As Cherry, she's using that space her team is buying to claim Shelly for herself.
yeah, and I mean the gold lead, especially looking at jungle right now, getting a CS lead plus the early KP, looking at about 1,000 gold difference in jungle. You know, while down in bot we already talked about the Ashe getting ahead, and so look for the jungle bot lane duo, or I guess trio, to run the map for Orange here in this mid game.
Yeah. So righteous. I do gotta ask, right? We've been asked a couple times, maybe by our secret coach, maybe by some of the chat. You know, Senna, she's been put behind this game, but right now she's sitting at about 34 stacks. I feel like that's not usually where you want to be at this point in the game. I feel like you're able to get some on Leona, but they've kind of been weak-sided for a majority of this game, and I think it's going to be tough because you want to trade get those stacks on Senna, but yeah, you're not doing as well as you want to be. Like,
Yeah,
and
and I mean
think
it doesn't help when the lane that you picked doesn't really allow for that trading to get those stacks to occur, right? It might be a little bit better off if it was paired with something that could farm, allow those souls to drop at a faster rate. And I'm going back to this build, you know, it's grass spinner, which is all fine and good, but I just don't know how much I agree with the Black Fever Rush. If you're looking at your team, right? Why would they ever stack armor, right? You have the Mordekaiser, you have the Rise, and not a lot of AD damage, and so kind of a odd choice for that first time as well. I know it's standard, but maybe we have to think outside the box a little bit in
I
terms
think
of
there is an
the
interaction where
goal.
Senna's Q is able to technically proc Black Cleaver twice, is the interaction
Yeah.
that I saw. So I think that is why they choose to go for it. But we'll see if that's going to end up mattering now. But as we're looking at Septi's hanging out with Peels. Last time he showed up here, it looked pretty good for Peels. But and now it's
Yeah,
even
and like
looking pretty good too. He's kind of doing a good job of just zoning off Klein here. Like I think he's just doing a good job making sure this wave does not crash. But here it comes in, and Septi's
got
saying,
ult
"Hey, we're
ready.
going back for the rewind here, but I don't think they have the damage to go for this kill. As
He's gonna clear the
Septi goes for a knee
minions.
on the canyon, make sure he wants to get the cannon. And I think Septi got chunked pretty hard, took a lot of tower shots, and
Could be the flash body slam.
yeah, but
Nope.
now we see 9line Klein is going to flash in, take him to Brazil, and we're going to see 9line Klein's able to get all this damage off. Septi's still hanging out on the outskirts to make sure no funny business happens. But Peels, he's willing to just hang out, heal with his passive, and just E on out. But now, Leona Mocha's coming to look to see maybe they can catch a wild Septi. I don't think it's warded, but nope. Septi's going to choose to actually keep his base going as they actually
Oh,
choose to
great
engage
Senna
here.
ulti.
Peels is forced to flash, but it's not going to be enough. And now Mocha's isolated on the back, but also cutting up to the bot lane at the same time. They are taking this opportunity, and they are getting a lot as Shelly pushed for 2 there. But unfortunately, Mocha does fall as a result of that play on the other side.
You know, it was a good Senna ulti, and really set up that play, allowing for a 2-for-0 trade. As we see TP come in, Yasuo gonna
TP comes
chase
in,
down
and I think
Septi.
Alternative is going to get him a freebie here. As Alternative doing some swift and nice movement here, he's going to be able to slice him and dice him, and that's a nice double kill in his pocket.
Yeah, 7-3 advantage for Contingent Esports Orange, and you gotta feel good. You know, you brought out all the stops this game one. We haven't really seen Peels on the Gragas, right? We haven't seen a lot of alternative Yasuo, and the fact that it's going so well this early is a good sign for the rest of the series. And you know, we have to temper our expectations. They have to show us that they can cleanly close out this game one, but they're definitely in the driver's seat, right? They are going up against that scaling we said in Rise and Senna, but so far Senna, you know, isn't doing that hot in the stack department, and this Rise is kind of, you know, wants to group and team fight, but so far hasn't been allowed to do so.
Yeah, Rise has kind of just been hanging out this game. I feel like I've talked about everybody else, but Dab has kind of been a little bit of a undercover agent this game. We'll see. Maybe he is pretty farmed up. Still at 178 with no deaths, but when you look at Alternative with 2 kills and even more farm, you got to be still a little cautious about the value that this champ can get. I think if he's not touched in these backline fights, there is still an opportunity for Akuma, but when you're also just sitting here with I believe very low stacks. Yeah, we're sitting only at 44 still, coming up close to 20. Never mind, maybe she grabs another one, but Mocha's guarding it. I think it's just really tough, and I think you really have to go late if you're going to want to scale on this comp.
Yeah, and I mean, right now the saving grace is Klein, right? Able to
Oh,
take.
but they spot Boulder here.
Oh,
I know you
no.
talked about, but yep, that is a dead support again. Boulder, you've seen it happen, and we actually see a flash come out. I believe it's a little bit of an overzealous one, I'll be honest, but Mocha's
Yep.
the one who picks up the kill, so maybe it was all planned.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not Boulder's best game, right? And it is what it is, but that is not to say
Peels
that
is
he can
pulled
bounce
and
back.
grabbed into Brazil. I'm sorry, Rich, there's so much going on.
No,
but
you're
Peels is
good.
just doing the classic. He's doing the classic. He's going to cask him out. He's going to make sure that he's not able to get on him. And I mean, that's the
It's
one
just-
benefit of playing Gragas into this matchup is you always just have safety.
It's just so hard to stick on the Gragas, right? Like I said, the longer this game goes on, the harder and harder it is going to be for Klein to deal with this champion, as we just see a brute force of 2-2 and no response coming out from Akuma. And so the map is oranges right now.
Absolutely.
We'll
I mean,
see.
Orange is so accelerated.
Looks like they're posturing potentially towards the Mord, taking the safe route, get it back. And
But yeah, now we see
see
Alternative
Dab,
and
we
Dab
quickly cut
find
out.
each other, and I think you're at the point where you can start to brawl. Alternative, don't take it. Good. If it misses, I think he could have potentially taken it, but thankfully the members of Akuma are there to back up their boy, as nothing ends up happening. Just a little bit of a jungle skirmish. Those are always the best kinds of skirmishes, but yeah, I mean, you were talking about it, but I think at this point, Contingent Orange is kind of just able to stat check and wallet check Akuma, right? They took that tower in their face, no Baron needed, and I just really don't see a great way to kind of stall this one out for Akuma. But maybe if Alternative gets
Dab
caught,
got out.
as we see, Dab is the one who takes the brunt of this damage here. But the sword, the ultimate comes out. I think it gets blocked by the wind wall, actually, as the flag and drag is not as clean as it needs to be, but it doesn't matter. As you have 4 members up there, and 9 Line Klein's going to take that shutdown.
Yep, overloading a side that was definitely overextended, right? And so good response from Akuma to get some gold into their pockets. But like you said, I mean, if you ever, you know, get together a sock, fill it with quarters, start whacking people, it's the same thing
Boulder
we're seeing right now.
in the
Bags of money
trouble
going
here, as
down.
that stock of quarters is about to get whacked, as Mocha takes a little bit of damage. As they're trying to look for more. Septi actually uses flag and drag there. I'm surprised they choose
Roscoe
not to
is
go on him,
down.
but Mocha seems to be the primary target here. As all 5 members of Akuma are kind of trying to contest this dragon, right? They don't want to put a Contingent Orange on Soul Point, but Cherry is spotted out on the side, but we see a flag and drag lands on Mocha. I don't think that's the target you want,
coming in.
as CC is going to be enchanted. The enchanted arrow comes out onto Septi.
Top
It
bit of
doesn't
the
matter.
map,
As
Boulder
Alternative
dead.
is absolutely smoking people right now. He gets the
Oh, the
flash.
flash
He
forward.
doesn't get the Q. I think he's by himself. The flag and drag. I don't know if they have enough damage to actually kill him, though. Ness, they do. Sin is able to pick up this kill. She's doing a lot of damage here, but it looks like it's going to be 80 carry versus 80 carry. But the W lands. That's a root onto Ash. The flag and drag lands as a response. They're doing a great job of buying time, but it's not enough. As Rise is able to pick up this kill. Dab, he has free reign to do it, but Cherry's here now, so we might see if something ends up happening. There's a lot of continued skirmishes. Mocha is hanging out, trying to go around the side, but doesn't choose to go back in. And that is
Yeah,
a
it was-
lot of blood for not even a dragon yet.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's going to be Contingent's dragon, and it probably could have been their fight as well. Cherry got sucked into chasing a Mordekaiser with really low health, but he did have that rally's advantage, and so wasn't able to stick on as Ghost
And now
expired.
we're
As we
seeing
see,
an aggressive ulti in from Dab to kind of buy time, right? It's technically a 2v3, but now actually with 9 Line Klein here, it's a 3v3, but you do not have your jungle, right? You need to contest Cherry here, as Cherry's able to pick it up, but I think Cherry's not going to be able to live here. I think that's too much damage. I think Klein's going to pick him up, so another one, and he's got 3 kills on the board for himself. But unfortunately, it does mean that Contingent Orange is now on Soul Point.
yeah, and if you're looking to win this game, you're gonna have to play through Klein, right? Mordekaiser is gonna have to position and probably position aggressively, which is great when you have a Senna and a Renata in your back pocket, as we see them posturing around this Baron and actually starting it up.
This is a very aggressive decision from the side of Akuma, right? They are spotted, right? Alternative and Peels they're sniping it out, right? They know that Cherry is down at 12, but they're
Thanks
actually
for the
choosing,
turn.
we're going to bait you out. Alternative gets caught out on the side, but the Enchanted Crystal Arrow lands, and it's able to pick up Dab. I don't think Alternative has enough HP to live this, as we see Mocha is trying to stall and get some damage off, as a lot of the members of Akuma are low. The Flag and Drag misses, and Ash is able to pick up the kill
angle.
here. And we see Leona flashes in, gets the stun on Dab, but the all-out, the hostile takeover lands on 2. Ash is able to pick up that kill even through a bailout. It's not enough as we see the members of Akuma are on the retreat. Peels lands
great
a
ulti.
massive casket and is
Boulder
able to
will go
get in
down.
range. We see AFK is using his Mikhails to buy time, but I don't think it's going to be enough as Bay was able to pick up the kill and Peels
Dab's
is
gonna
looking.
go
He's a
down as
shark in the
well.
water, right? He's looking for this rise, and I think he's found his prey, right? He's coming in here. He's setting himself up, and the body slam goes wide, though, but I don't think it's going to matter. As actually,
Oh!
wait, doesn't matter, but Dab's doing a great job of buying
Oh
time as
my
he
goodness.
lives. Oh my goodness, never mind. As looks like they're able to get away from the shark this time.
Yeah, but the stacked deaths from Akuma allow for this Baron to be started right. It should go down really fast with this Gwen that has been so effective. Senna scouting out with the ulti, getting a little bit of chip damage, playing for
got
the
in.
steal.
He got it. He got the steal. He
Solid!
got the steal off. There's no way. That's absolutely what you cannot have happen as
Oh my
Orange.
goodness!
I'm so
And
surprised he was able to get in. Mocha was still able to get that stun off, but it didn't matter. The flag and drag is gonna happen, and that is what you need for Akuma to potentially get back into this game.
And Septi said, "Get in my back. I'm buying you time. My carries I want to scale." Now that you have the Barons push out against Contingent Esport Orange, and potentially flip the tempo of this game. We'll have to see how this steal affects these players that so far we're really taking it to Akuma, right? Contingent Esport Orange have to keep mental, right? You don't want to tell. You're still in the lead. It feels bad that you messed out on that neutral, but man, what a play.
Yeah, I mean, Cherry might be beating herself up, but at the same time, she's also thinking, hey, I'm still up 80 farm on this Jarvan at the end of the day. A Baron steal, it's tough, but they do still have a very good gold lead. They have the comp and a lot of the damage to get this done, right? Peels is getting a lot of value. Baywa is doing an excellent job, 8-2-3. It's tough, but this does give a little bit of hope to Akuma, right? Contingent Orange now has to play a little more cautious than normal as we see in nothing but caution as we're seeing a little bit of NA RAM at this point. Cherry's getting involved, going in with the Ghost here, but we see the combo lands onto Boulder. Boulder, I don't think you got a chance, man, as Cherry's able to pick up that kill. And I think right now they're going to use this advantage and try to get a little bit of pressure mid.
And in the words of one of my childhood heroes, that is not a boulder. That is a rock right now. Boulder is having a really tough game, and you hate to see it, but the game's not over, right? We just got the Baron steal, and really, it's a team fight comp that, if pulled off once, can really just flip the game. You know, we're getting to about 27 minutes, and the longer this game goes on, the more these fights matter as death timers continue to increase. And so,
absolutely,
Cherry getting a little.
Cherry getting a little bit of a love tap, but I think she's going to be able to walk away here. As we were talking about going late, right? And we've been asking, hey, where are the Senna stacks? Right now, Senna's sitting at about, I believe, 77. Nope, 79. Never mind. She's doing way better than I thought. But still, I think you realistically want to be sitting around 100 at this point in the game. I think that's kind of when you start to come online. I obviously don't know exactly as much with the rework, but I don't know. I think that's where a lot of your damage is. But Rise hasn't been touched. He's still 1-0-4, and I think he's a bit of a menace with that Frozen Heart. But I think you need a little bit more of a damage build here for Rise if you're going to be able to chunk enough to get through this team.
Yeah, I mean, Contingent Esports Orange has been doing so well, but they really don't have any like true tanks, right? We have as we see the
as the enchanted arrow,
out.
I swear that's deja vu. I've seen this happen again as Baywa catches out Boulder, and honestly, the same spot that I saw him die last time. But Mocha misses the ulti as the flag and dragon is going to be used to escape here. But I think with that pick, and I think this dragon coming up, I think that is not what you want to be seeing if you're Akuma here.
Yeah,
but we see a lot of aggressive
in
here as Cherry is going in, getting the fully stacked passive. Akuma choosing to ulti, and then just flashing out to buy space, right? 9-Line Klein is actually flashing away in Death Realm, trying to buy space for his team, doing a good job, but I think he's able to get the big pull. Septi go in, we see the massive Senna ult go out, but I don't think it's enough damage as the members of Contingent Orange are absolutely running through this team as Dab is going to finally hold. Never mind, he flashes out. If they're able to get Oswald, Alternative found his prey. Is it going to be able to catch him here? He's trying to get the Q stacks, get that tornado going. Is it going to land? As I think he's going to be able to run out, but on the other side, we end up seeing that it might be.
He's running out the opposite way, right? He's not going to be able to probably live.
Actually, flash from Boulder again as he's having to flash out of this mid lane. I think there is the potential for him to be tilted, but they're actually doing a great job of stalling out this Senna, right? As it looks like Oswald is probably just going to be looking to get his reset here. Maybe he's trying to.
He might get it back.
He actually gets the back. They said, hey, we're not going to chase it, and they'll just take
Yeah,
Soul as instead, which I
I
think is the
mean,
right call.
it's so pleasant in him, right? This map has been broken up on the back of really good picks from Baywa and the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. I've liked to I like the adaptation I see from this Yasuo build. We see a lot of champions that
Oh,
want to buy
Stridebreaker.
space, and so the Stridebreaker has been used pretty effectively in a lot of these fights, a lot of these chase down fights. The Rise, the Senna, everybody trying to disengage. Well, when you have the slow on top of the Bork slow coming out, it makes it really hard, and so really good adaptation to see from alternative.
Yeah,
Um, but
100%.
yeah,
Right at this point in the game, I think a lot of your damage you can kind of trust Bewa to get it done, right? So I think what you're trying to do is you're trying to kind of like get on these carries as Yasuo, right? You're trying to, if Gragas isn't able to throw a casket for you, you want to be able to land your knockup so you can get value with your ultimate. And I think Stridebreaker kind of just provides a little bit of extra leniency, get that slow off on these carries, make sure they aren't dodging that tornado, man.
like no game is really truly over till the Nexus explodes, right? But I think if you're Kuma, you're looking for this pick potentially. A Fnatic
Yes, they're
Death
all hanging
Bush.
out. I think
Mocha's a
Mocha's
little
not the
close.
champion, but they're trying. Is that I think if they have all 5 members, they're going to be able to burst her down. As Dab's able to pick up that kill. You know, I honestly thought Mocha might have enough space, but she kind of pops like a balloon.
Yeah, I mean it's a just pure health build from Mocha, so gonna be going down really quickly with no resistances. But you're fighting back as Akuma, right? You're making the smart plays, trying to look for
Heals
numbers
finds the
advantage.
angle on Boulder, and Boulder unfortunately gets cut out mid here. He's gonna be using the hostile takeover, but I think when you don't have anybody else in the area, it might be a potential waste. Is that pick might lead Orange an opportunity to go for a bit?
Oh, spotted out by the ward, the
They saw
huge
him on the
ultimate.
ward, and Alternative was ready. He was ready to get that final strike off. And oh my goodness, that last breath is going to be the last breath of potentially Akuma Shurikens here. As I think with these members up, it's going to be hard for Akuma to defend this.
Yeah, you have a Senna that hasn't been able to stack, and a Jarvan that really doesn't want to go in right now. So should be the final moments of this game one
We
as we
see
see
the
the ultimate
ultimate
comes out.
lands, but I think it's just a desperation attempt at this point. As Oswald's able to get the kill on Peels, but I think just you are wallet checked at this point. Cherry's able to get the double kill, and it looks like she might be able to find a triple kill for herself, as that's exactly what she's going to do. And with that, she'll take that and a Nexus to end game one.
And if you're Akuma, right, that game one did not go the way you expected. It's okay, right? It's a 5-game series. You got plenty of time to right the ship. You know, to be honest, like we talked about the comps and the differences, and I really do think Contingent Orange not only picked a comp that was a little bit more easy to execute, but also looked a lot more comfortable for their players, right? You know, AFK Boulder had a really tough game, and you hate to see it, but didn't really look comfortable on that Renata glass. The Mordekaiser that got ahead, you know, was kind of the saving grace of the game. It didn't really look like it was effectively used. The Jarvan paired with the Rise, it just looked like it was a hodgepodge of, you know, different ideas, different things that didn't really have a cohesive theme. And so I expect more comfort to come out for Akuma in game two. Just gotta mentally reset. You know, keep the mental stable. It's a long series, right? Best of 5, one game is not the end of the world.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I mean, you talked about kind of like, hey, I'd rather see these kind of like, not spicy picks, but more unconventional picks earlier on in the draft, right? We saw the Yasuo come out. It has some moments in pro play, but it looked really good for our alternative here. But on the other side, right? Senna 80 carry. It isn't as popular as it used to be, right? Especially with just the changes. And I think when paired with a Renata, I expected honestly Renata to be the one to try to farm on this game, but it didn't get the value that I think they were wanting. And I think maybe it's okay. Hey, maybe just send a support or look for maybe another alternative here. Right? Just find a way to get involved and get honestly just get Oswald on the stuff that he's super comfortable with and give him the opportunity to carry this game.
Yep, they can't look for another alternative because they're on alternatives on the other side. They're on the the other side of the map, in mid lane. But you're exactly right. Like I said, you know, it wasn't like a cohesive theme or idea in the team comp. Like the Black Cleaver rush, but really AP heavy comp, and so just go back to square one. You know, erase the whiteboard, be like, all right, we're going back to basics in game two. I'm interested to see what side they end up selecting. Might opt for the red again, or perhaps just for a fresh restart, go blue. So we will have to see.
I think there's been a lot of priority from what I've seen in these leagues, going with blue, especially if you have a priority pick. I think I saw it in the chat. Right, Beards and Cats was kind of talking about the Ari as like a potential B1 if depending on if Dab or Alternative play it. I assume both do. The champ isn't too hard. I think it has a lot of value, especially with the buffs that came to it on 14-18. I think we'll have to see, right? Ash was that first pick for the side of Contingent Orange. I think it got a ton of value. It wasn't shut down, right? And I think that is a maybe contested pick that both AD carries will want to play. I think there is also just the chance that it could end up being banned. We'll see. We're gonna have to really. It's gonna kind of depend on what side Akuma's gonna take going into this game too.
So Kuma is gonna swap to blue. It's
Oh,
been
as maybe
confirmed they're
they want
going
the
blue.
Ash for themselves.
Yeah, I mean the Ash looked really strong. Now, granted, it was kind of a punt of the early game, and so they're able to definitely take advantage of that. But I mean, the Ash looked a lot better this game one than it did in the previous series that we saw last week, and so it could be a potential prio pick. We talk about these best of five metas, these best of metas that develop, and I really want to see teams stop banning the Smolder. I don't think it's that good anymore.
Mm-mm.
You really have to play for that scaling component and inherited in his kid, and it's kind of hard to do, right? These games aren't going too long, and so just kind of, if teams want to pick it, I'd almost let them. It's a very squishy champ that's really easy to lock down. So I expect to see that to change. But, like I said, I don't necessarily think game was won or lost in that game one. I really do think Contingent Orange just picked a comp that they were more comfortable with in terms of individual champions, but also had, a coherent theme that looked really good.
Absolutely. I think right now, kind of just maybe talking about general draft strategy, potentially for Akuma. Right, I believe Akuma last game they were the red team. They chose to ban out two. They chose to try to ban out Peels. Right, Peels did a good job of kind of playing that weak side style with the Gragas. Right, but you look at what was banned. It was Orin and Cassante. Right, they're trying to ban out all of these weak side champions. I think we can see that it's not really worth it to ban out Peels. If we know he's going to play weak side, he's going to have something in the back pocket. And they weren't able to milk out enough of a lead top lane for 9 line Klein. I think honestly, it might be better to try to ban out some of Alternative's scary picks, right? Maybe if they banned out the Yasuo, right? Maybe banning out just like some scary stuff like Zed. I think Alternative is a player who really impressed me that last series. And I think that Akuma need to find a way to shut him down because at least top lane, it feels like Peels is at least at this point a really
He's
hard
weak
wall to
side
break through.
king. He's weak
Hmm.
side king. I mean, that's what he's playing for. He wants his team to thrive in the mid and bot lane. And so, if you know that as Akuma, exactly like you said, maybe throw some of the bans that way as opposed to trying to ban out, a top laner that is okay playing on the back foot. He did a great job of absorbing pressure. CS and gain XP as much as you can, but don't die. That's exactly what he did early. Was very useful in the middle late, and so really well played. And if he's got a weak side like that, maybe just let him do that and ban and pick around it.
Hmm. Absolutely here. As I'm honestly expecting, while we're seeing the teams get into draft here, I think that we are going to say that I think Ash is probably gonna be picked here for Oswald. I've seen him play it in the past. I think it is the go-to here.
Could be
But
banned. We'll
it
see.
could be banned. Maybe they're trying to get first pick Smolder, and maybe that gets through it. We get to see it in the game, right? Because it's the best champion on the patch for sure. But I don't know, right? I'm trying to think like Dab, he kind of wasn't able to get involved that game. Maybe trying to put him on champs that can give him an opportunity to kind of get involved, get some action going, right? Because Alternative kind of just felt like he was able to move with his Leona, right? Move with the Gragas, get a lot of value. But
I'll
I
tell
don't
you what,
know.
I expect to see a total overhaul of what we saw from game one from Akuma on the bot side, right? It was a very hard to pilot duo lane. I think they're gonna, fall back to maybe some more standard stuff. I think the center pick is okay, but like you said, I think it serves its purpose better when it's not farming and when it's used in that enchanter style. Um, and so I definitely expect Boulder to have a bounce back game, probably on a pick that he is more comfortable on. especially seeing what the opposing side wants to do, play around that mid and bot, look to play uh, something a little bit more standard in terms of what we usually see on the bot side.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I mean, trying to think other opportunities that you can have for the side of Akuma, right? To kind of get involved here. I think Boulder. I don't know if that was just not a great. It might just have been nerves, but that wasn't the showing that you want to be seeing here, right? Like I've seen Boulder pop off. That guy can get it done, right? I saw his
Yeah.
Maokai go absolutely crazy, but I just think maybe it was just the pairing of the lane, right? The Senna with Renata, maybe just not as comfortable as they want to be on it. I think giving Boulder the opportunity to maybe play some more playmakers could be what they want. To kind of like get this going, but we'll have to see. Maybe they want to like first pick Leona, take it away from Mocha, but I know Mocha. She has a very solid champ pool, and I think she is honestly one of the top supports in this league. So I think maybe they're pulling at strings trying to find a way to stop her.
If Ashe does get banned or if they don't have Prio, I expect maybe a Jinx B1. Looking back at the bans, that was one of the 80 carries, one of the safer blinds for a B1 spot that they did ban on red side. I expect the Belveth and the Nasus to continue to be banned from Akuma Shurikens. Maybe they let go of the Nasus if they feel like they have an adequate response, but I definitely think it's going to be that Ashe or Jinx. And so if you're contingent, if you're okay with just trading, maybe leaving them both up. If you're okay with playing the mirror matchup either side, um, we'll have to see what they do in terms of priority, in terms of bans. Like we said before, we definitely don't want to see Smolder anywhere near picks and bans right now. I really don't think it's that good of a champ. I think it can do its job when given the opportunity to scale, but it was so much more better suited to do that in solo lanes with those rounds of nerfs. You're playing weak side bot, which for teams in Akuma and Shuriken, Akuma Shurikens and Contingent Orange, the top two teams in terms of drag getters during regular season play. That's not something they want to do. They don't want a weak side bot. They want to stack these dragons, and so just leave it out of picks and bans.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely here, as I think we finally have our links to this draft. We might get to see what these teams have been planning, right? I know Llama, the coach, has been he's been using his 5 minutes well, right? Trying to get
Mm-hmm.
value and trying to cook up what they're gonna do. I think Llama is the coach of Akuma, so maybe they have a good plan, a good idea with the side switch. I think completely new game, right? It's
I've done a
basically best of three starts now, or no,
Yeah,
best of five.
exactly. Best of five, like it's just one game, right? And if you win this, it goes to a best of three. I've done a little bit of coaching in my time, and as much as it is like the X's and O's, it's really about that mental between games. If you come off a tough loss like that, you really just gotta regroup, reinvigorate your players, and say like, look, we're number one, we're the number one seed going into this. We're not bad players. We just got off on the wrong foot, and it's okay. It's a long series. We're to
Oh
come
yeah.
out and just win game one
Mm-hmm.
or this game two. Sorry.
Yeah, it is game two, right? That game one. Nah, that game one didn't happen, right? This is technically they're just playing a best of five from behind a little bit with a bit of a
Yeah.
handicap. As we'll have to see. I think right now we might be cutting to a bit of a break, as I think they're still taking a bit of time with their coaches trying to make sure they know. And as soon as this draft starts, we'll be right back with that draft start, I think.
All right. And
Just
like we
kidding.
talked, yeah,
We're right back.
we're right back into it. And like we talked about, the NASA still stays banned from Akuma. Hopefully we don't see that smolder. I think it's gonna go away. Fingers crossed. I just don't think it's that good. But we'll see what the response is from Contingent. We talked about the potential trading of 80 carries as we see Misfortune banned away. Definitely still a strong pick on this
Yeah.
patch. Well, hovered. Let me. Okay, now it's banned.
I think it's a good idea to say that's a lock, right? I think I've seen it in so many games, right? I think it is, even with the nerfs that happened this patch. I think it is still probably one of the strongest 80 carries on the patch, right? Just the
Red
item
banned.
advantage. But seeing as Zed, they didn't want to see what happened to Ego Nog, as they're actually choosing to ban it early, which I'm surprised.
So,
See.
when you see an early ban from Zen like this, you gotta think like, what are some of the picks that might struggle into it? I think the classic one is like an Azir. I don't know how much Azir Dab is playing. Still a a strong mage. We're talking about these mage items getting buffed, but um, I think it's going to be a mage lane pick. Similar to the Rise, maybe with a little bit more agency or built-in damage. As we see the smaller band away again, just
Look,
let them B1 it and win the game. It's okay. It's okay.
look, maybe
I'm off the
maybe
smolder train.
Contingent Orange knows something we don't. Maybe there is still value in the champ that is sitting at 41% win rate mid lane right now. But that maybe I don't know. Maybe this champ is sleeper, but we do see an Ash ban actually come out on blue, which I think is actually really scary to reveal. That means that they are always going to be forced to potentially ban it now if they are not playing on blue side. As
I
I'm
think it's to
surprised they
unlock
actually
the
just didn't
Jinx.
B1 it.
I think it's the unlock the Jinx. We talked a little bit about this. I don't think they're comfortable playing the Jinx into the Ashe to ban it. Expect a B1 Jinx if it isn't banned here. And there
There
it
it
is.
is. Never mind, there is that ban that we're talking about. So I think they see the trap that Akuma was trying to set.
Mhm.
As we do see, the champ that did make it through is actually two champs. But actually, Dab, with the staple Orianna, they are willing to be one it. I kind of like that. Even as a mid laner, that's one of my favorite champs. I think it's safe in most matchups. I think it's very, very solid here.
And kind of expected Jarvan takeaway. You just don't want to hand that over for free. So maybe Contingent is okay doing so. It didn't look super effective that last game, but it didn't really have a great pairing to go to. And so this Ori picked up early, not going to be banned away. And so there's the Jarvan takeaway.
Yep.
A really good call by Contingent to do so.
Yeah, good job for Cherry, right? I know that her Belveth is up, but I think you kind of have to take away the Jarvan when we've seen that Septi is willing to pick it, right? When Orianna Jarvan is such a broken combo, it kind of forces the jungler to be like, all right, I guess I just have to take it, right? So they're gonna try to find a combo that works just as well as Ori Jarvan, but I think it's just still even good denial, right? The champ is super strong right now. You still get a ton of value out of that flag and drag. And it's just you kind of have a lot of early skirmishing power as Lissandra is a champ that's really going to make this Orianna start to sweat.
Okay, this team is going in, right? Set up for Jarvan, Lissandra. I mean, what better pairing, right? Especially into a mid lane mage like Orianna. Yeah, she has some move speed with her W, but if she ever gets caught out by the Lissandra W, it's such an easy setup and kill for Jarvan, especially with no flash. So, as we see, a Xin Zhao picked up in response. Really, I mean, honestly, a sleeper pick on the patch.
Mhm.
I think he's really good. Having that Orianna ball on top of him can do some damage, but it also is a little scary, right? You're going to be eating into potentially a Sandra setup, so have to navigate these fights a little bit more carefully, but I still think it's a really good pickup.
Yeah, 100%, right? Honestly, as an Orianna player, my I guess four favorite junglers to play with, right, is going to be Jarvan number one, but Xin Zhao's that number two spot, right behind like a Viego and Hecker, but they don't matter, right? Xin Zhao
Hmm.
still gets a ton of value just off of the mobility and like the utility that comes with an Orianna ball placed on top of you. And I think that mid jungle duo for both teams is pretty strong, but not talking about mid jungle duo at all. We see that Oswald is choosing to lock in the Ezreal here for a little bit more safety.
Yeah, I mean the three common ADCs we've seen throughout the split are banned away, and so it's not slim pickings, but it's different pickings. If
Mhm.
you're a bot laner, Ezreal has been considered strong, somewhat recently. So a good pickup. It is going to be able to poke while the Zinja goes in, but maybe would like to see a little bit more of an aggressive pick as we see a
Ooh.
Jin in response.
I
Okay.
will say I talked about it with the misfortune, right? I think the champion that has rivaled it, given it the most run for its money, is this Jin, right?
Hmm.
I think he is one of the best. Honestly, he can be blinded, and he's honestly one of the best utility AD carries in the game right now. You just
Yeah.
provide so much with your root, with your ultimate from afar. Like if you're able to do your damage, not die, but kind of like run out to just be in R range, you're still so useful. And I think it's playing into this comp. I guess Xin Zhao can cause you a little bit of trouble with his ultimate, but it's still not a bad pick here as we're trying to see what the bans are going to be as we actually see a no ban end up coming out for the side of Contingent
No
Orange.
ban.
That probably
Let's
wasn't
see.
planned. We'll see if they end up choosing to say something. They
Saying
say that it's going
Ward.
to be a Mord ban. We'll see if that ends up being going through. I would assume it does. I think we have a little bit of competitive integrity, but I honestly
Yeah.
wouldn't blame Shurikens if they don't listen to that ban. But we'll see as
Uh,
Kuma Shurikens are now trying to
Go-
lock it in.
Going back to that Jin pick, I think it's also a standard Ezreal counter. It has a pretty high win rate in the 1v, like the quote unquote 1v1 matchup. So we see Nautilus banned away from Contingent Orange, taking a
Mm.
lot of CC power out of that bot lane. But I think the Jin has a lot of tools to thrive. Right now, the only threat is that Xin Zhao, but it has to walk past a Jarvan and a Lissandra, right? And you were talking about the power within that route. It's easy setup, a Jarvan knock up or Lissandra W to um, be able to peel while dealing some damage. And so, really good pickup as we wait for
Mhm.
this second ban to come through. Contingent.
As are they gonna? Okay, they got to ban off this
Love
time
it.
as they're choosing to ban the 9-line Klein Olaf, right? I think you were talking about it that champion that went 8-1-3 that last time it showed up. I think it's a solid threat. It also does really good into the Lissandra as well. Just kind of like basically makes the Lissandra go, all right, what's the point of my champion? But on the
It's
other
gotta
side,
it's gotta be an Ornn ban, I think. I think the Olaf Mord is screaming that they're gonna Ornn on Arth 4 and give support counter. As Rakan is the ban for Akuma Shurikens. And I think the Ornn is a great pickup here. Lots of team fight power with the Jarvan, with the Lissandra. Safe blind, you band away 2 counters, and um, we know Peels likes playing that champion.
mhm. As I think it is probably going to be an Ornn here. If I had to guess, I think it loses some value. Like I said, into Zhao. I say that with a lot of champs, but they're actually
Whoa.
choosing to go with the Seraphine here. I think they're maybe willing to be like, hey, we can give over this Ornn and give our top laner counter pick. I honestly really like this. I think the Ornn R4 was obvious, and it was maybe a little too obvious, so they went with the still really strong pick in Seraphine.
Yeah, but now if you give it away, right, you're giving an escape tool for the Jarvan ult. We talk about the headbutt could offer a potential escape avenue as well as some, long range CC for that Jin that wants to ult from far away, right? As we see Braum
Ooh.
hovered and locked in. A really good pairing with the Ezreal. Lots of early power with that passive. As well as the threat to block that Seraphine ulti, right, with the shield. And so,
Mm-hmm.
really good counter pick. And not only for lane, but also for what this team is trying to do opposite of you. And so, great pickup by Akuma Shurikens.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if I'm Akuma and I know Peels wants to play Ornn and he's okay R5ing it, I think you just take it away. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they want to take a tank buster and tank
As it
buster.
looks
We
like that's
see
the tank buster there. Yeah, they're saying, "Hey, I dare you to pick this Ornn," right? That's what they know that Peels wants, right? I think. But when you see a Camille on the other side, there's like, dude, there's no way. He's like, I can't take this Ornn. Maybe he does. Maybe he knows something we don't. But Camille does a great job of kind of shutting down this team, right? She's gonna be able to find the Jin on the sideline. Has so much mobility to kind of avoid the Jarvan. You got to be a little careful of Lissandra, right? She has pretty decent lockdown, but I think it really is gonna have to see what this top lane pick is going to be as we actually see Rumble come
wow.
out.
Okay, the
Actually,
Rumble
pretty
counter.
good pairing there with the Jarvan, but it's a lot of AP on the side of Contingent Orange.
It's a lot of AP, and Rumble did get nerfed again for like what seems like the third patch in a row, and so not a lot of trading power. Some E and Q damage taken out of his kit, but we'll have to see how the 1v1 shapes up on the top side. And going back to that Camille pick, it does offer that backline access that you're talking about, right? You can ult while the Ori ball is sitting on top of you. It's basically free for whoever you're trying to go after,
Mm-hmm.
and pairs well with that Xin Zhao as well. I was a little scared because, the Ori is gonna kind of buff up the Xin, but he didn't really have a go-in partner. So the Camille coming out kind of offers a solid 1-2 punch if they're trying to make somebody explode. And so, really good comps across the board. I think this draft was well thought out, a little bit more standard, a little bit more team fight oriented, which we expected going into the series. These teams, like we said, top two in drag taking, and so um, I'm excited to see. I don't really see like one side, you know, heavily more heavily favored than the other side. I think we kind of saw that in game one, and that's kind of how it shaped out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but looking at these drafts for you, like, anything standing out? Do you think one side has a leg up on the other? I don't really, I don't see it.
Um, I was originally worried about Contingent Orange's draft when I saw the Braum come out. Right, I was surprised that was not the champ they chose to go with, because I think when you have priority on champs like Jin and Seraphine, Braum is always a champion that I'm like, hey, that champ has to go. Right, I feel like he can absolutely shut down these kind of like ulti reliant champions a lot of the time. And Seraphine, she has a lot of value, but I think her ultimate is kind of what like sets her apart. So Braum gets a lot of value, but I think Rumble paired with the Jarvan, paired with the Lissandra, kind of helps the draft.
Yep.
I think we're gonna have to see how that top lane matchup plays out, because I think Camille can kind of get an edge on a Rumble. I think it's a pretty skilled matchup.
Mhm.
So I think that's going to be the matchup to look out, the most volatile. But I think we're going to see, right, as these teams are kind of finishing, locking in, and getting involved in this game. As I think we're going to wait on spectator delay a little bit, and we'll be right back when game starts.
Haunted by my mind, victim or the prey. Everything is fine. Take me to my grave. Bury me alive, keeping me astray. Hard to say goodbye to who I am today. Haunted by my mind, victim or the prey. Everything is fine. Take me to my grave. Bury me alive, keeping me astray. Hard to say goodbye to who I am today.
We made it back to game 2 of this hopefully riveting series between Akuma Shurikens and Contingent Orange, right? Contingent Orange took the early lead 1-0, but we're going to see if Akuma Shurikens has something up their sleeve with this pretty heavy team fight comp here.
Yeah, and for you LXC gamblers, I think chat is predicting that Orange Esports takes game 2, but like I think the difference was like 40 points or whatever LXC calls their our Twitch
League of
gambler.
Extraordinary Tokens, maybe,
There
but
you go. That makes sense.
honestly, one thing I want to highlight, I guess nothing ends up happening of it. Mocha was sitting in that top side river brush for a really long time, trying to see if they'd go for any shenanigans, but just throws out the Q to get a little bit of harass onto Tab here. But yeah,
Okay,
nothing ends up happening.
so game plans. If I'm Septi, I'm facing down the #1 gold per minute and the #1 CS per minute ADC in Baywa, and I'm playing an aggressive pick like Xin Zhao that could be followed up by Israel Braum. I'm camping that lane, right? There's not any like move speed. There's no get out of jail free card. Like you're gonna get sums or you're gonna get kills. So I expect that kind of like standard full clear and a double back. We see opposite side starts from the junglers, and so it'll be interesting to track, right? Because I think Cherry probably has that same thought. Like if I'm Septi, I'm playing towards this bot side, and so where the power that lies with Xin Zhao and the Braum and Ezreal can be nulligated by potential counter gank, right? So I think really smart by Cherry to index into that, but we'll see with these opposite side starts what ends up happening for the first 10 minutes or so.
I know you talked about Septi trying to kind of like pivot towards this bot lane, like play to shut down this Jhin and Seraphine early, but I think with him pathing up, it's going to be hard. I think there is the angle for Jarvan, Cherry to kind of get involved early, especially on what could be a potential bounce back if Jhin and Seraphine are able to shove this wave and get it all the way pushed in. But I think the side of Akuma, they're doing a good job of kind of holding the line, buying as much time as possible. But it's just a lot of aggressive trading here top as 9-line Klein is getting involved, but
Contingent Esports was able to spot out Xin Zhao on that. As we see him just run straight top, it's going to be spotted out by a ward. So we'll see.
He's pinging it. They're trying to make something aggressive happen as 9-line Klein's able to get the prey, but the flash is predicted. As Peels does a great job, but I think the second flash is going to be what puts him in the dirt here as the wind becomes lightning lands, and it's enough damage. As that is a very clean time. But she's barely able to live. I thought she was dead since I was able to pick up that first blood.
Yeah, clean dive, calculated, right? Klein knew that they were not dying. So great adaptation, was spotted out on a Raptor ward, decided to forego those 3 camps, go straight up top, and Peel set down that ward, but it's a long lane up there on top, and so unable to get out despite using flash. And so maybe the expectation shifts. We just play strong topside on this Camille. Make sure that she's in a position to wreak havoc on this Jhin and friends.
As I mean, hey, that Zenzo said we're gonna ball out anyways. As he ends up getting the tempo there with that kill, but Jarvan and Cherry has she's gotten the opportunity to go down bot side, get some wards in Zinzao's jungle here, and she's up right now about potentially gonna be 3 camps after she takes these Raptors. But still, that's a pretty good amount of tempo, especially if you're trying to get these basings off.
Septi picks up the early pickaxe, which I agree with. Got that topside scuttle. He's trying to double back and prevent Jerry from taking these camps, and so I wonder if they suss out that they're going to be on.
They're going to run
Might be
into
a
each
fight.
other here. Yeah, I think right now we saw that the flag and drag potentially came out from Cherry. I think it could be coming back up, but is Septi going to spot it? I think she does. As now we see that they are trading aggressively onto Cherry, and Cherry, I don't think he has the damage, but Septi doesn't have that flash because he used it topside, and so that flag and drag is going to be able to get her out.
Yeah, and Lysandra there to escort her as well. The importance of having mid lane prio coming up clutch for Cherry. And so, while Septi did get that early kill and got Klein a little bit ahead, it kind of kills step on the bot side of the map, right? So Cherry does a nice job responding.
A little bit ahead might be an understatement, right? Just I'm looking at this Camille who decided, hey, with that assist, I'm going to be buying a Cole. I'm going to be up a good amount of farm, right? And she's already sitting at, I believe, about 300 gold all to herself. That's a lot. And I think right now, when you want Rumble to kind of be this early game powerhouse, right? Kind of just control the lane, shut down a Camille who's going to scale really hard late game. This is the exact start you want to see if you're Akuma.
Yeah. Kind of weird for the two red wards from Camille after getting ahead, but she just wants to be super safe, I guess.
Mhm.
She knows she doesn't have flash, and
Oh yeah.
there is some setup for a potential gank from Cherry with Peel's slows coming out from the harpoon. So, but right now, really even a little, just that first blood gold, basically the difference between these two teams, and so. We'll have to see Xin Zhao prioritizing these early grubs, which I think is a great adaptation. We talked about these teams. We see some trading bot, won't amount to anything.
And they got a
Um,
lot of healing, a lot of shielding. Nothing's really going
yeah.
to stick there. But what might stick is Cherry finding Dab here. Dab is low on mana. I don't think he'll have enough, but that is a good job flashing out, but I don't think it's going to be enough. As they're able to get the kill there, I think Cherry went for the flash to maybe make sure it was secured, but alternative, they had the auto attack to make sure that was definitely going down.
Yeah, and that played that basically as well as they could for being caught out, right? The ults to kind of buy some space and potentially get out, unfortunately still goes down, but it will amount to 3 grubs for the team that has a really great split pusher in Camille. We talked about the scaling aspect in Camille. If a further lead is accrued on this top side, the 4-1 gets really annoying for Akuma to deal with, or sorry, Contingent Esports to deal with.
They're all good. As we see, as a result of that play, Cherry was able to waddle her way down and was able to pick up a Cloud Drake. It means that there's not going to be a Cloud Soul, which I'm sad of. That's my favorite soul, obviously, but I still think it's nice to have that amount of move speed in your pocket, right? It's able to give you some out of combat move speed, some slow resistance, and especially when you're playing into this Orianna, that slow resistance is always going to be useful.
Yeah, and Ori's got to be careful. We see aggressive positioning from the Strava, and while they, cross map, take these camps, potentially could set up another gank. As we see, just some more trades going on the bot side.
I think, yeah, Cherry's in the angle, but I think that Cherry was spotted out, but
Oh,
they're still
here it
moving very
comes.
aggressively here. As Dab is pathing up, I think he's going into the fog, making sure that Zendao isn't in the area, but Zendao is kind of pinging Peels, but looks like they're kind of still deciding, like, hey, does he know, does he not know? But I think right now they're choosing not to pull this trigger, but we see Alternative is trying to get some deep vision in this jungle, maybe looking on an angle to go
Yeah,
on Zenzao as
they
he
don't.
could be collapsed in, but
Septi
Fight's
doesn't
starting to
know
break
that the
out
rest
top
of the team
here.
comes.
Yep,
Septi's
Septi
caught
is
here.
potentially in a bad spot here, as this is a now 2v3, but they're choosing to aggress. They're trying to get involved and make sure that this fight goes in. It's a 1-for-1, right? The jungles pick up the kill on the top laners, but Septi is trying to buy space as Dab gets here, but the shockwave goes wide. It's not able to hit either. And when you're putting the Frozen Tomb, I think that's going to be Frozen Doom, as that is the flag to finish off the kill there, and Jarvan picks up another one.
And a great flash forward from Alternative to not only dodge out the Orianna ult, but get that aggressive positioning that you so eloquently put onto that Orianna, leading to basically a 3-for-1. So losing out on the chase top side after you got that Camille ahead doesn't feel all that great. Not the end of the world, but we'll have to see what this Zinja does, picking up both those kills that happened.
I think Zenzao, he's probably he's feeling good about himself. He was able to get a little bit of value here. Still picking up the 2, but I think that is not the play you want to be seeing from Akuma, right? Yeah, I know you said it, but Camille wanted to be ahead, right? Now she's kind of in a point where she's even, and Lissandra is the big beneficiary there, right? Already has her Malignance finish with Orianna, who kind of has to build Merc Treads at this point in the game, and she's not feeling as good. Not even a lost chapter in sight.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those mage v mage where, if you're playing against Lissandra, it's always good to feel a little bit scary. It's the ease of setup, especially when paired with something like the Jarvan. And this is something like you would want to see Akuma do in game 1 as we see Seppi going on to Alternative.
Yep, I think Alternative is caught out for potentially. If he has the E to get away, it could be saved, but it looks like he used that in the trade, and that is a shutdown going over to Dab there. Yeah. I think maybe the E was used a little bit aggressively there, and they were not respecting that Septi was hanging out in the bushes.
And it was such a great shutdown for Dab to pick up, right? Feeling the brunt of 2 lost players, able to get some gold back into their pocket and even out this mid lane. And so really good for Septi, who had the 2 previous kills, might have been like, okay, just keep feeding me, I'll carry the game. Does the smart thing, lets his mid laner get back into the game.
Absolutely. And while Mocha was able to pick up a little bit of that wave, right? Lissandra's still probably going like rats, man. Like I bought a dark I think I had a dark seal. I don't know if that dark seal is a recent pickup, but like I'm not able to get the stacks. I'm not getting the efficiency out of this item. And I think right now
Yeah.
you kind of just you need to not be making those mistakes, especially when you have the gold lead here. But Boulder spotted out on that ward here, but Septi's kind of here to hang out, as I think they're kind of just gonna do a bit of a standoff as
I don't
Cherry
think
is
they
moving
know
in a bit
Boulder's in
aggressively,
there.
but Boulder does not land the initial stun there to start the stun combo. Hit those 4, but it looks like there could be a little bit of contention over this blue as
Yeah,
another stun goes wide, but
we
so
talked
it's
about the
spotted
power
out.
of potential 6 grubs with this Camille, right? And I think this aggressive posturing means that, hey, we have an item advantage in mid. We don't want you getting those 6 grubs, so it might
Okay,
lead
but
to
they
a
are
fight.
pinging very aggressively up towards the
Yeah,
top side as Jarvan is going in. They're
top
able to
bot.
land the Rumble ult, but then I think it's a double flash from both. No, it is a flash from the Braum, but Septi's able to buy a lot of time with the ultimate here. I don't think they have enough follow-up, especially
Alternative
with the
coming.
tower in the area, but Alternative, he's pretty far in the backline here, trying to use his E defensively to get out. And I think right now, even though no kills were shed, I think that's a lot of space bought for Contingent Orange, and I think those grubs are going over to him.
And it's the value of an early item, right? Alternative
Oh, but
has that
Dab.
malignance
As
as
the
Boulder
stun
lands.
initially lands, as they find the angle onto Alternative here, right? Even though the Camille is stunned, they were still able to get the stun off as the charm lands on Oriana. Is she going to be able to get a lot of shockwave value? It's able
Ooh.
to land onto the Seraphine, and she's able to pick up the Jarvan too. That's a double kill. But Dabby's trying to buy space as it's just Rumble Lissandra versus the Xin Zhao and Oriana, right? Septi's in a bad spot. He's trying to buy space, but I think that Rumble's going to be able to melt him down. As we see a triple kill actually goes over to the Rumble here. The Peels, he's feeling himself right now. He is so far ahead, and I think they're going to be picking up 5 grubs at the end of this.
Yeah, and if Akumu's not careful, the hot pot might be a little bit too spicy in this mid to late game. 200 gold shutdown on this Rumble that was put behind very early, right, with that level 3 gank, and so a lot of team fight potential coming out between the Rumble and the Jarvan, but take a gander bot. You know, this
Mm-hmm.
Jin's feeling really
Oh,
nice
yeah.
despite, you know, the supports roaming, potentially losing out on the 1v1 trades with this Ezreal. Ezreal not able to do anything in a 20 CS lead, kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah, kind of out of nowhere, right? But you did talk about it, right? Jhin is a very good counter into this Ezreal, and I think when you're playing these isolated 1v1s where you're kind of just like, hey, 80 carry, just do your job, just hang out and farm for a little bit and let the supports go have fun. I think that Baywa's going to be able to build a little bit of a lead. I think, like we said, Baywa is a very good centerpiece of this Contingent Orange squad, and I think if you give him the opportunity to kind of prove his 1v1, let him know, I think he's going to be able to inch out this lead. He's trying to get a little bit more with these plate takes.
Yeah, and while the Camille is stuck on top side, while the lane has been unlocked for her, it's going to be hard for you know, Akuma to approach these objectives. You really only have a go in button with Jinzhao, which when you're down an item, you see the echoes of Helia coming out from the Seraphine. You see the
Oh, but it
malignance
looks
of
like Baywa
Lissandra.
is tagged, as I think they're trying to fight over this Tri-Brush vision, as that control ward is doing a good job, but right now, the Infernal Drake is the primary target here for Contingent Orange, but Boulder is doing a good job of trying to make up some lost ground here. Walking
Just
through this
don't know how
vision
they
here,
walk
just
in.
trying to brute force, as we see Xin Zhao gets in, he's able to land it, but we're going to see who wins this fight. It's actually Jarvan on 20 HP, but the Jhin ultimate is doing so much damage as they're able to absolutely combo this Xin Zhao down, and Lissandra's able to pick up a double kill off the back of Baywa's ultimate there. And that
Yeah,
is
we just talked
absolutely
about
what
it.
we want to see.
We just talked about it. How do they walk in, you know, while the Camille is still stuck on top? And the answer is, I mean, they can walk in, but they're gonna die for it, ultimately losing out on the Smite fight as well. So, a Dragon 2 kills for Contingent, quickly taking a 3K gold lead. About
I mean, yeah, we talked about it, right? They're trying to kind of play for this like skirmish style, right? They have the Lissandra Jarvan, and it's just going to be they're going to be able to lock someone down and just make sure that that person does not have fun, right? And when you have a Jhin who's able to kind of provide that cover fire, right, with that massive curtain call, I think he's sitting here and he's pretty happy, only getting 2 assists, but he still has that shutdown under his belt.
yeah, great adaptation coming out from Contingent as well to make sure their lanes are covered. They're not losing gold anywhere. We talked about, you know, their carries are going to make sure that they get gold throughout the game. And so Rumble, you know, using TP to cover mid while Lissandra goes top. And, you know, the Camille and the Oriana, you know, they're not really favored into either right now. So what can you do? If there's no punish. Granted, the Cole is completed for Camille, setting on the Trinity Force, a little bit more trading power, but this Rumble already has Leandri's plus upgraded boots, so really, really scary in the 1v1.
I do think on the bright side for Nine Klein, when you get Trinity Force on Camille, you start to feel like Thanos, right? You
True.
can start just so aggressively trading into this Rumble. I think while Rumble is strong, he's up 3 kills. I think it's very like Camille's kind of a broken champion. She can be bonkers if she's piloted well. So if Nine Klein can kind of get these short trades and back out with these empowered Qs, that Sheen proc, it's going to be a lot of damage. We might be looking to see a little bit of a skirmish
Yeah.
going on. As Septi's kind of positioning aggressively for the lane gank here, but I think he might have been spotted there. Actually walking into that second brush, I don't think it was covered. But we'll have to see, as maybe he's playing a little far back. But now cutting down to mid, we actually see Lissandra was going in with the flash, and I don't think she was actually able to land the ultimate. She must have been right out of range there.
Top side
still-
kills, forced to flash out, and didn't actually know the Zinja was in there. Quick flash to save themselves from danger. The rest of his team coming up to respawn, so Klein and Septi will make their way out and lose positioning for this Herald. And like I said, it's really hard for them to approach while the other team's ahead, right? How do you get past this Lissandra? How do you get past the Jarvan? Opting to not try to flip it like they did Dragon. Good call. I'm gonna let this potential neutral fall if red side wants it.
Yeah, but I mean, right now it looks like the members of Red Side, they are very, very happy to kind of just be continuously grouped up, right? You see Mocha's moving with Cherry. Cherry's moving with Mocha, right? And
Yep.
honestly, Alternative is doing a great job of kind of picking up these kills. And right now we saw that the Jhin moved up mid to kind of cover that, but Ezreal's gotten a lot of free time on this tower here. Even though plates aren't up right now, I think you're kind of giving him an
Look at this
opportunity to
Jhin.
kind of catch up in his
He's kinda
farm.
looking for a potential dive while cross map is happening on this Herald. So
And I think that is the angle they're going for. Septi is running no minions
coming down.
in needed, but we see the TP from,
It
it looks
stopped!
like it's going to be where it's stopped by, but they don't realize it's stopped in time as Lissandra is going to get picked here. Dab doing a great job, but I think that the Frozen Tomb is not going to be enough to buy you enough time. And it looks like Dab's trying to, but the reinforcements are here. Cherry and Mocha, they land their ultimates, forcing Dab's flash, but now we cut down bottom. As we were talking about it, Baywa does get caught up. Never mind, the flash comes out as Dark Lord does a great flash Q to finish it off as he's able to pick up that kill. But Cherry, she's going in onto Orianna. Orianna falls. The passive is up, but Lissandra's forced to back up. But now we see Nine Klein's trying to get involved here. He's trying to find the angle with the E. He's able to land it onto Seraphine, able to land that ultimate. And I think right now that is a popped songstress, and I think Cherry's gonna fall right behind, as that is a great turn of events for Akuma.
yeah, and I mean, way to salvage the play, right? I really thought Alternative would go down, but buys just enough time with the self-use of ulti, the Seraphine shield coming out as soon as they came out of that ult, and so saves their life, gets good ultimate, and trade an Orianna. But I think, you know, if you're Akuma, you're okay with what the rest of the fight entailed, right? I think it ended up being 3-for-1. So really good in terms of trying to buy back some gold.
But yeah, as I'm casting that fight and trying to commentate, I'm thinking to myself, where's your 3-kill rumble to get involved there? I didn't see the equalizer land at all. I think just Nine Klein was kind of able to rotate down, willing to kind of walk it down, just get there, see if he can pick up some scraps, and he found some good scraps, but Peels wasn't there, and I think that is a lot of gold on your team, and I think you really need him to kind of be winning these 5v5s.
Yeah, I mean, it was just the TP advantage. They knew Peels didn't have it because of the response that was shown mid, trying to pick up that farm, and so Klein had that TP available and, you know, made a really good play. So we'll have to see with this Dragon approach. I think it's a little bit more even in terms of how they approach if we grouped up like this, but Rumble has the TP advantage now. It has to be called out that
Very true. As we see, Rumble's
can hop
trying to
up.
back out, not be seen, but I think Camille is in a spot to potentially stop a TP if it comes out. But we see a potential 4v4 now, as Septi is going in onto Cherry, trying to burst this dragon down, finding the angle.
It's a
But Jhin
TP.
is activated, curtain call.
Cancelled.
The dragon is still up. Lissandra gets the kill onto Dab, but over on the top side too, we see brawls going out. This dragon has still not fallen yet. They're not
Wait,
damaging
Ezreal.
it, and it finally goes over to Cherry, and that is absolutely not what you want to see for Akuma. As even on the top side, Rumble gets a kill for himself too.
Camille ended up killing herself to make sure the Rumble couldn't utilize that TP. Cancels the TP, ends up dying, and the fight's lost on bot. So everything that could go wrong really did go wrong for Akuma there. These smite fights go in the way of Cherry both times now, and you know, it kind of makes you a little hesitant to fight for these objectives in the future.
Completely agree, right? You haven't gotten an objective under your belt, right? I think we sat there so long, I was just thinking, how is this dragon not died yet, right? They do a good job of kind of just like not just forcing the team to kind of stay there. Septi engaged a little bit early, expecting that dragon to pop a little bit faster, and it ended up just kind of being lights out for Akuma, right? They couldn't really find an angle. I think they were able to pick up maybe one kill at the end of it, but I just think there's so much just layering of damage here from the from the Lissandra, from the Jhin, from Jarvan, who's able to kind of just group everybody together, right? It's just it was not the way that Akuma wanted it to go.
Yeah, and Cherry has approached both these games with a game plan, and when the game plan has needed to deviate, she's been able to do so, right? 40 CS up on this Xin that had, that pressure top early, but, great pathing from Cherry, being at the right place at the right time, being at these objectives early, really dictating the tempo of her team, and so far so good. 2 games now.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about honestly, it hasn't been mentioned enough, but the CS lead that Cherry's been able to build in the jungle, even at 21 minutes, is crazy, right? She's sitting at 156, which honestly, we'll see if that ends up mattering as we see that Camille finds the
Peels is
engage onto
down.
Peels, and I think right now with that Camille ultimate, you're able to buy enough time as that looks like it's going to be a freebie coming over to 9 line. And that is honestly what you need, massive shutdown, and I think a Camille with an open tower, that thing is gone in seconds.
Yeah, I mean, it'll have to wait till the next wave, I think, maybe, as we see
Never mind,
some
she
fighting
just said,
in
I'm going to
mid.
get it done. As Baywa and Mocha are aggressing mid here as they're trying to land the stun, but the W misses there as Polar's just willing to kind of buy his team space. But it looks like I believe that mid tower didn't end up dropping. If it did not drop. No, actually, it dropped with Shelly earlier.
With Jelly, yep. And I think that's a little bit of lack of knowledge from Oswald and Boulder. If you have a Seraphine and Jin running at you, just throw out the Braum Q, get the passive, get some chip damage instead, just running away and playing a little scared. Now, granted, I don't know if they knew where the Jarvan was or where the Sandra was, but you got to do something. You can't just let them dictate the pace of the game like this.
Mm-hmm. Completely agree. And I mean, but right now they have kind of been in the driver's seat, right? Contingent Orange has control over these objectives, right? The only objective in return for Akuma is 3 grubs, which isn't the greatest when it doesn't have another buddy or two with it. But I think right now, just Contingent Orange is doing a great job of kind of playing to their win cons, like grouping together, trying to force these extended fights as a team, right? They're trying to set up this vision as it looks like just it's all red over on the side of Contingent around this Baron pit.
Yeah, vision control both games as well has been phenomenal for Contingent Esport Orange, and it's only a 3K raw gold lead, but with 3 Drakes, that's a good
A lot of
amount of
value, but
stats. We see Boulder caught out
Boulder is
potentially.
potentially he's bailed out by Baywa missing the W. Maybe it's elevation diff. Maybe he just wasn't having the hands that time. But Boulder walks it out as he was trying to fight off this vision, but they said no, we're keeping it.
And Orange really knows how to play their comp. They know that if they get through the objectives first, it's a really tough approach. We talked about it in draft. How do you get past this Lissandra? How do you get past the Jarvan? Well, you wanted the Camille to get ahead, and that didn't really work out in the end. And so you're kind of limited in how you fight these. We see Cherry coming around the backside.
But Cherry is here in the backside as she's able to get that ultimate off onto Dab. Dab is forced to flash out, but I don't think there's enough follow-up as the Flag and Drag is going to be able to catch it on the backside. 9-line Klein is able to get a little bit of damage, though, as we see that Ezreal ult actually lands on 4. I don't think it's going to be enough as Baywa is untouched in the backline, doing a lot of damage here. Alternative is chunked to the back, but he's not going to be able to fall. It's just Oswald and Boulder. But Alternative is finding the angle onto Boulder here. Is Boulder going to be able to die? We're going to see he gets out, but Jhin pops that Ezreal on the backside.
Yeah, the arcane shift in a little ill-advised from Oswald. Maybe could have gotten out over the red pit wall. In the end, the fight is won by Contingent Esport Orange. Gonna take a reset after grabbing that tier 2 tower. Look for them to run probably straight to the Baron. I think you're okay giving up a dragon. You can look for an end with that Baron buff.
Absolutely. And I mean, these fights have not been going the way that that the Akuma wants, right? I do also want to shout out Cherry, doing a great job of kind of just realizing she had the space to walk in, and she was able to get in range to just our Orianna without even using the Flag and Drag, right? And when we saw that Ori flashed out, bam, that's an immediate Flag and Drag to follow it up, right? Doing a great job of making sure Dab has no chance to get involved in that fight, and it just made it so that it was honestly unwinnable for Akuma there.
The pace of the game that Contingent Esports is playing, they're at every objective first, and it's so hard. I keep saying it, but it's so hard for them, from Akuma to walk in, and so the Strags are basically gonna go down for free.
Gonna be
As we
Soul
see,
going over to the side as they're trying to find an angle here. As Alternative is not going to take the
spot.
E, but we see the Charm being on
Great
forward. Oh,
charm!
the
The
equalizer
hard pot!
into the Jarvan Cataclysm. That is the combo you want to see as two members fall for the side of Akuma. But Ezreal's doing a great job of trying to keep it going as he's able to pick up a kill. But then we see two more kills back to Contingent Orange. And right now it's just Ezreal. But he's missing all the shots just to show him who's boss. And right now they're going to go take Baron at the result of that fight.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a free Baron, right? Unless there's some crazy Ezreal ultimate. Maybe that's some foreshadowing.
I saw
coming
Septi do
through.
something crazy last game, so maybe. But actually, we see the Ezreal mid. It's going to be sailing down mid lane, so I don't think we're going to see anything too crazy this time.
Nope. It's a free Baron and really a huge gold lead that's only gonna balloon with this Baron take. We saw the power of the team fight. You know, everything layered so perfectly, set up by that Mocha charm. With the Seraphine ult, and I mean, this comp is looking disgusting. We should say.
I mean, yeah, like that 4-man charm comes off, but you got to be asking yourself, hey, what happened to our count? What happened to the counter pick that we picked? Just stop those 4-man charms, right? Would need to
Yep.
go back and look to see if Braum was able to potentially get his shield up to stop that from happening. If that
He
fight
used
could have
it
been
early
saved, but
when he got caught, he was trying to buy
Oh.
himself some time, and then as soon as it went down, I mean, just so well played by Mocha. As soon as that shield went down, all right, my time to shine.
But yeah, I think honestly, it's just putting a lot of pressure on Boulder, right, to kind of like prevent a lot of this damage. But there's going to be a little bit of damage done to Mr. Nine-Line Klein, as it is a
Yeah.
Camille, so it's going to be hard to chase. I think it probably isn't worth it, as they have the minions, they have the Baron, and I think it's okay to kind of just let this Camille do what you want. If you can keep this Baron wave alive, you're still going to have this really good siege, and I think that is what is.
We really gotta get topside here, guys.
As we see, 4 members are here as the minions are up, and I don't think Camille's going to be able to stop this. She's going to be basing, but Rumble's doing a great job of also continuing to push in this wave mid, as they're doing a two-pronged approach here, as they're kind of looking for their engage here. I think they're strong enough to look for an engage under this tower at this point, especially with Peels hovering over into the wing. As we see, Camille is kind of just hanging out. She
Should've
hasn't
stopped the
gone for a
wave.
base yet. Just trying to
stopped in the
force
wave,
this
yeah.
wave. Yep, slow it down as that wave is finally dropped for the side of Contingent. So it looks like this top lane push is going to be over, but mid lane, you still got a couple minions under your belt, right?
Yep. Reinforcements coming in mid, and so look for them to siege. But Camille will be back, so we'll be even numbers.
So
as-
choosing a siege under here. Septi gets ulted by the Frozen Tomb, and I think that is a dead Septi. Never mind, he's
Oh.
able to flash, prevent the damage, but Cherry finds the angle on the dab, forcing out another charm. The charm goes wide. It's not able to hit anybody this time. As we see, nobody dies in that exchange, which I'm very surprised about. It was looking really dangerous for a couple of the members of Akuma.
Yeah, and all the skill shots that were missed by Esports Orange.
Oh, is
We
they're
had to be
going for the
careful.
A classic little exchange. His dab is not in the place. That's a
Whoa.
nice splash flag and drag for Cherry. She's able to find the primary target. And now Boulder looks to be the next target. They're going in. They hit Septi with the flag and drag. They hit it all the time. And Jin gets that kill. Nylon Klein is trying to stall this wave in the back. It's a good call. And I think she actually got it. Even though Rumble was able to pick up the kill, I think that might be able to potentially stall this fight out. They do not have a wave. They don't have anything they can do right now. They're kind of just standing around
wave-
twiddling their thumbs.
Wave
But that
flip
was
is coming, and it's a 40-second death timer for Camille. So the
Ooh.
Baron's still up. Could try to force an end. You still have all 5 members. Looks
I
like
think
that's
that
what they're gonna try
end-
to do.
Yeah, I think that end is probably happening here as Cherry's just buying space for her team, right? Letting them hammer that Nexus, and that Nexus is going to be hand down like a nail, as it looks like it's going to be game 2 and match point on the line for Contingent Orange.
And a couple of statement games from Orange, and you know, my own horn, but we knew Orange was a good team, and I think Akuma. I don't think they overlooked him, but I don't think they realized how good Orange really is. They got the better of them in the regular season. They got the 2-0 win to end out that season, but Orange has flipped the script. It's 2-2 now. If you're thinking back to that regular season series, and now it's up to Akuma to reverse sweep after 2 pretty dominant wins from Contingent. It's a hard ask.
hmm Absolutely, and I mean we'll have to see, right? That comp from Contingent Orange was very solid, right? They set up themselves to play these like 5v5 team fights, right? And realistically, the only hope in kind of avoiding this skirmish is potentially a Brahma shield, but also getting your Camille ahead, right? We saw that early gank worked out on Rumble. He fell down level 3, But just that extended fight topside, right, where Lissandra was able to get up before Orion, kind of really swung the game back in Contingent Orange's favor. But we're gonna have to see kind of how these teams adjust, as I think we're gonna take a little bit of time, right? Rest our vocal cords for a second. I think we'll be back when draft starts. Also to give these teams a little bit of time to kind of readjust their strategy here. We'll be back in a bit. Welcome back, everybody. We took a little bit of second, give us a chance to catch our breath. As who knows, this game could go all the way 5, but right now we're seeing Contingent Orange is up a pretty solid lead right now, 2-0 in the series. As for side select, Akuma is on their match point, they're do or die, and they choose to go back to blue this time. So we could potentially be seeing an Orianna first pick, but I think there is some other options there, right, Righteous?
Yeah, I think I expect one of the primary ADCs, one of the priority ADCs to be picked B1. I don't expect any ADC bans from Akuma, and I think they'll take whichever they feel is most blindable, whether that's the Ashe, the Jinx, the MF, whatever's left up. But we'll see. They could always just, pick like a Lilia that I feel like still has a lot of prio. I don't know if Septi plays it, but it's still a really good champion. But you got to do something different, right? Games 1 and game 2 did not go your way, and I think what you have to do is really attack Bewa and Mocha. Consider the best bot lane. Get into these bans here. Pick something aggressive bot, and then pick something that enables it from the jungle side of things. So that would be my suggestion to Akuma if they're listening. If they're not, just stick to your game plan. I'm just winging it on the fly. But I would really like to see Bewa punished or contested, because just letting him farm on a side lane by himself hasn't worked so far in 2 games.
Yeah. But speaking of consistent, right, we see it's going to be that same Nasus ban we've seen these past 2 games, right? He's still a little bit of a stinker. The dog he's a bit spooky, so you got to be cautious. Is that their ban? But we see Misfortune in response from the side of Contingent Orange, right? We've seen Oswald paired with that Orianna from Dab. It's a nasty, nasty combo, and they're doing their homework, making sure, hey, you're not going to pick this B1, even if there are champs that can combo, but I think they're not letting it through, as we see Zed return ban from game 2, come out kind of targeting alternatives, assassin, kind of melee, heavy mid laners, but we'll see what the rest of these bans are going to be.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's the same exact ban, same order from game 2. So if things are consistent, Smolder will be banned away from Contingent Orange. I don't agree with the pick, but
Please don't do it, guys. Don't do it.
okay,
As
a
they
little
choose to pull
variation.
Jinx. I think Jinx is a bit of a better ban. We'll have to see if it gets locked, and
So the
thankfully it
early
does.
Jinx, I see. If you're gonna ban something, I'd rather see the Smolder there, because the early Jinx allows you to not ban the Ashe here if you're Akuma and pick it B1 instead of just gonna ban the Ashe anyways.
They're choosing to ban
No
it anyways,
prio
right? They
on that
say
pick.
Oswald does not like that champion, and we're not going to give it over to Bewa. And Bewa, they put on a performance, right? Game 1, they were getting it done on what you would assume is like that supportive AD carry. But I
Now,
guess honestly,
if Smolder isn't banned, do we think Akuma B1's it?
I
I
think
hope not, but
I sure hope not. Like I've said, I keep saying it, but maybe they know something I don't.
Orianna.
I just don't see the value in the pick, to be honest. As they're actually doing a good job responding with Orianna ban, but Lilia immediately taken for Septi there.
Calling my shot, Lily on the B1. Let's go. I mean, it's a really great skirmisher, lots of damage, really, especially with that true damage. And it's something that, when piloted correctly, can be really strong and really oppressive. We've talked about Cherry and, their expert pathing, being at the right place at the right time, making sure that they're always farming, getting the camps left up. So I really have to take a step back in terms of early priority or early pressure, as Belveth is the
Ooh.
response.
That's the Cherry Classic, right? I was looking at some other champs that she's thrown out in the past to counter the Lily, right? Udyr is the one that kind of jots to my head immediately. But
Yep.
if putting your game 3 on the line, right, trying to finish this series off in a dominated way, I want to be playing my champ that I'm the most confident on. And I'm sure that's what Cherry's feeling right now with that Belveth.
Really high comfort, and then you also have a 3-game buffer, right? Like, the pressure is totally on Akuma. If you're Contingent, why not just pick comfort? We have a couple games to play with. There was EC Lucian paired, and game 2 and the play-ins, Baywa's Lucian looked phenomenal, especially with the Nami.
Oh,
Moko
yeah.
was just hitting every bubble it seemed that could ever be hit. So
I think that is something that, yeah, Akuma has to be really cautious of here, right? They have to potentially draft something that can handle the just lane dominance that comes from a Lucian Nami. Or even there is still the opportunity where you have to be cautious of it. That Lucian could be flexed mid if absolute worst comes to worst, if they draft this really, really strong combo. But they're starting out with Alistar, as the potential answer here. This Nami isn't locked in, so I'm very surprised that they're gonna choose to blind support this early in the draft.
Yeah, and if you think it's gonna be Lucian Nami, I don't think the response is Alistar. I mean, especially with the weak level one, everybody knows like you can't really do much on the pick unless you're willing to burn flash, and this makes me think we're gonna be passive from
Mhm.
Akuma, which I don't know if that's the right response. Like I mean, you know, it was good, but I like to see something like why not just pick the Nautilus there instead if you're to pick the Kaisa. But it is game three, backs against the wall. Maybe Boulder's a little bit more comfortable on the All-Star pick and is more willing to make that work. So, I can't fault him for falling back to comfort, but I feel like he's gonna get bullied a little bit, especially if this Nami comes through.
Yeah, I think the Nami is probably looming over the horizon, right? For Contingent Orange, they want to lock it and kind of secure it. But Kaisa does kind of give you a little bit more
Okay.
leniencies. They're actually going to go with the other support that's really good with the Illusion. It's going to be Milio locked in. Also to kind of just throw that ball at All-Star, kind of make sure he doesn't get a free ride in.
Yeah, the problem with Outstar now is like you have to just make it like obviously clear, like I'm running at you, so I could WQ, right? And so Milio, when he sees that, should get a free Q. Now, granted, there is some skill expression in the LSR with utilizing potentially Hex Flash, but um, with this Lilia, like I said, I'd really like to see some bot lane pressure here. The Kaisa is a little bit more apt to do so we'll have to see if that's their game plan as the rest of this comp and draft is rounded out.
Yeah, absolutely. And another underrated part about this Milio, right, is his ultimate is a great job at cleansing that massive sleep that comes from these Lilia plays, right?
Mm-hmm.
This Septi's going to have to be really cautious here if he's going to be going for these flash Qs because Milio, he's just going to go, yo, and it's going to be immediately gone, right? So they got to be cautious here. But we're seeing some top lanes banned out now, kind of just rounded it out, right? Pinching these picks here as it looks like it's just going to be the solo lanes left to pick.
And if it's Olaf again, you have Belfeth, you have Lucian. Somebody's got to have to play on a budget, and I really think it's going to be the Ornn on the R4. I knew I
Mhm.
thought it was going to be on game two, but with the Rumble ban, the Mordekaiser ban, I'm expecting like an Olaf, Camille,
As they
Olaf.
choose
There's the
that Olaf.
Olaf. Okay. I really do. Just the way that the lanes have gone, I think you can lock that Ornn, just play safe and be happy to buff up that Lucian and that Belveth. So we'll see if that's what they opt into. They didn't on game two. Maybe they just um, don't feel like they're comfortable blinding it uh, into Klein's pool, but we'll have to see.
Yeah. But I talked about it was I thought it was going to be all top lane bans there, but we see the Lysandra comes out, kind of pinching alternatives pool a little bit, right? He had a really good performance on that champ last time, right? Gives your Belveth the opportunity to kind of come in, but there it is. You called it, we've called it. He's finally shown up. It's Mr. Goatman is going to be locked in as Peels gets his pocket pick and his favorite champ.
Yeah, and I like this a lot better than when paired with an Ashe, right? You have a lot of agency in the bot side. You're going to be playing around bot side. You want to get this Lucian ahead so he's a menace in the mid game. And so just lock something that's, safe scaling. And I think Ornn's a great pick for that. It is a long lane on red side, and you can get caught out a lot of times, but, not a lot of lockdown CC from jungle in the Lilia as Mundo. A
Ooh.
good response, but once again, we're lacking that CCA, and so this Lucian pick kind of gets scarier in my eyes because there's really nothing to lock it down, as Timo I think is trolled Hubbard.
Mhm. As Mundo is actually a pretty interesting response into the Ornn, right? Mundo is kind of there. He's like, he doesn't do great in the early stage of the game, but if you get late game, he is an absolute beast, right? He's going to be able
Yeah.
to run through this team a little bit, right? He's got to be a little cautious, right? There's a lot of mobility with the Belveth, with the Lucian, but it's going to depend as we actually
Okay.
see a champ that I haven't seen in a while. It's Tristana mid locked in for Akuma Shurikens here as they just really wanted some AD under their belt.
Yeah, and I mean I can't fault them, right? Like the Lilia is going to do more than enough AP damage, but I can't fault them for maybe not picking a Yon. I don't know, just the AD mid prio has gone kind of the wayside. The fleet footwork nerfs, the Doran's blade nerfs. We saw that Tristana in the LCS finals really didn't look all that great, so we'll see what the response is, and it's a
Oh.
Nivea.
And
Okay.
Nivea, actually, I'm kind of surprised. I don't think it does as well in the isolated lane. But when I'm looking at a champ to be really annoying against this Mundo, I'm looking at it in Nivea, right? A wall is not something that he can just walk through. He can't just use his broken passive to get through it, right? And Nivea's kind of going to just be able to kind of like isolate, force this Alistar, Lilia, Mundo into an isolated choke. And it gets a good amount of value as realistically they drafted Tristana to try to provide a little bit of AD damage here. But I'm really liking this Anivia to round it out. And I think like Contingent Orange has a pretty solid comp on their belt.
So like in lane vacuums, Akuma's comp makes a little bit of sense, right? I think the Mundo kind of has its way with the Ornn, especially with the HP, the percent HP damage on his Q. I think Tristana can get prio, especially pre-6 on the Anivia. I think Alistar Kai'Sa is okay. They're probably losing into the Lucian Millia, but I don't think it's really that bad. And, you know, Lily is going to be able to run around and farm, but that's just in the lane vacuum, right? I think all three of these games, it's been Contingent Orange just has more cohesion within their comp, top to bottom. They know they're going to be playing for objectives. They're okay, maybe sacrificing some agency in lane, but when they group up, we saw the power that, especially in game 2, that they had, and I think Contingent Orange draft is probably a little bit better than Kuma's right now. I'm not trying to be biased, but just I just think it's so easy to play out that comp on red side. And
100% agree here.
probably favored in my eyes.
We'll have to see. I think if Septi and this Tristana and Septi and Dab are able to find a little bit of early skirmishes here, try to find a way to shut down this Bel'Veth, I think it could be good. I think Mundo late game is still always a very good win con, right? I think late, I think it's going to be hard for anybody to burst through him. Even if you have an Anivia, still, Mundo doesn't care. He goes where he pleases, and he's probably going to be looking at those towers. So that could be an angle that Akuma is looking for, but hey, at this point, it's do or die for Akuma, right? They're down 2-0, right? Are they going to be able to pull off this reverse sweep, or is Contingent Orange going to be able to close this one out? We're going to have to see as we're going to cut to break, and we're going to find out when game starts.
Welcome back, everybody, to what could be a potential deciding Game 3. Contingent Esports taking the 2-0 lead pretty commandingly. Backs against the wall, Akuma really has to go all out to ensure their playoff lives, and they're going to be doing so on the blue side. They opted into with a nice purple-themed comp, we noticed as we loaded in.
All the purple champs, right? You get Lilia, Tristana, Kaisa, but some other things that have kind of, I guess, I'm looking at these runes at the start of the game. It's a relatively chill one, right? We do see the members of Contingent Orange are kind of aggressively positioning bot, but we see Fleet footwork Tristana.
Yeah.
Right, I feel like it's been nerfed every single patch, but I think Dab maybe he has experience on the champ. He's gonna know what to do here. But now cutting down
Bot lane.
bot side, we see that Baywa and Mocha are getting the aggressive trade on Boulder, and Boulder's now sitting at half HP. As it looks like Septi is
Okay.
trying to ping that he's going for this these wolves here, but they're doing a great job.
Boulder walked up and placed the ward. They knew the bot lane was in there. They actually killed the ward, so they're going to be able to get the level 2 advantage a little earlier than most bot laners are accustomed to. We'll have to see how that played out. I mean, last time we saw Baywa on the Lucian, the level 2 advantage was massive. So we'll see if it's similar. And granted, there's not a bubble setup now with the Milio pick, but should be really good. And then you talked about it, that fleet footwork nerf was so massive. You know, I'm not a big fan of the Tristana pick mid, but I feel like if you take it now, you have to go something like the PTA or maybe like a Halo Blade, something like that to increase your trading power, because I don't think you're able to sustain nearly as well as you used to.
Yeah, I also think that of the mid lanings I would be the most threatened by, I think Anivia does not have as much range to deal with an AD mid as opposed to some of these other control mages, right? I think you can get away with that PTA, as you have the Torrent's Blade healing a little bit, but I think there's just so much built-in sustain in the game right now that it's going to be tough, right? They took the standard build, but I think PTA is kind of the move here, as you want to be able to do some damage, but we've kind of, I know we moved away from it, but we actually see an aggressive trade here from Dab, but it doesn't look like it's going to amount to anything. But I wanted to talk about, like we mentioned it, this bot lane, right? Baywa and on the Lucian, Mocha on the Milio are getting so much pressure here. As they're just forcing
his lead.
Yeah, already a 10 CS lead. It's not even 3 minutes in the game, right?
As we see,
We just saw that.
Klein's
but
getting
now-
really low into this
yeah, it
horn.
looks like it, but I think Mundo, there isn't enough CC to finish him off all the way. So it's just going to be a couple grass procs trade over to Peels, and he's feeling, hey, they're happy to trade their grass procs, right? It's a mini game for him, but like Boulder is getting absolutely torn down by this continued poke from the Lucian, from the Milio, and it's just a lot of just how that level 1 exchange went, right? They did a great job of setting up their vision, not being contested, and it's coming back to haunt Akuma right now. As Septi's kind of positioning to maybe bail him out, but
for junglers, so could develop into a 3v3.
but if they
have
see
that
it,
move,
Boulder goes in for the flash, but I don't think they also realize Cherry was in the area. Cherry technically gets here first. He goes for the flash, he goes for the knockup, but it misses. But Mocha lands the Q on to Septi. They're able to get that kill, but the flash comes out, but the summon Airy from Mocha finishes off that kill. That is a great way to counter that play, that honestly kind of desperation play from Akuma there, and that's a 0 for 2.
yeah, and the only saving grace is that Mocha's the one that ends up with the double buffs and not this Lucian, because if that happened, I don't know how you respond if you're bot. It was already going poorly, and now 2 KP for this lane that's already 10 CS, almost 15 CS ahead is pretty devastating, as we see the gold lead already balloon up to about 1,500 gold for Contingent
100%.
Esports Orange.
I'm slightly surprised that even though I think it was called out that it was warded, we don't know for sure, but if they were spotted on vision that Akuma still chose to go for that play, right? I don't know if Cherry was initially spotted. Maybe they realized it a bit too late that the void monster was there, but still, as not how you want to be seeing these plays. Is it kind of puts a lot of pressure on the rest of the map. This Tristana, who has a little bit of a CS lead, to kind of find a way to take this one home.
And this early BF sword, I mean, this Lucian's going to be doing damage, especially with the Milio behind it. And so, we talked about, like, we want to put down this Lucian, but kind of bites him in the rear a little bit. They tried to execute that game plan, and Bayway just said, I'm better. We'll just win the skirmish.
I am better. Couldn't have said it better. That's Homelander right there. But I think it's like at this point, yeah, I think you got to be looking for some leads. Stab's doing a good job of kind of playing that early AD mid, right? You have a lot of pressure, especially early, but alternative ding 6, and when you ding 6 on that bird, you get a lot of
Oh,
exchange. But I
AFK
don't think
Boulder
that
top side.
matters right now. Yeah, top side, we see Boulder finds
Oh,
the angle here. He tries to
it's
get
out.
the headbutt in to get range to get the knock up, but it's not enough. As Oswald's kind of on the back foot here, trying to
20
fend off this
CS
1v2.
bad. This is brutal. Everything that went wrong is just compounding, and Baywa expertly piloting the solution so far. And as we see
We see
Peels,
very aggressive trading here as Peels is using the Orn Horn, activating it. It's a good flash there from Mundo, buying time, letting his ultimate heal him here. Basically empowered Warmogs. It's not too crazy yet, but he's able to survive, and it ends up being honestly a pretty even trade after that ult goes out. But actually, looking bot, we see Oswald's isolated, but Cherry's kind of hanging out on those Krugs, so I think there
just
could be
gonna
the angle for a
dive.
dive. Boulder might get here in time
Waves
though, as
waves too thinned out.
yep, it's too thin. Maybe
Gotta
if
be
Cherry
next
isn't
wave.
spotted, it just looks like she's gonna go for this reset. I think if another wave comes in time, there is an angle for a dive again. But it looks like Cherry's just she's gonna go back. She's gonna spend her funny money, and it looks like they're just gonna potentially go for a tempo play here.
Yep, gets the reset, pickaxe and Vamp Scepter, Baywa ulting to make sure that he can secure that last plate. Gonna take a reset probably of their own. Look for this dragon. Nice response from Septi, you know, getting the early 3 grubs. Gonna take this top side that was abandoned by Cherry as we see Dab go into alternative.
Getting that aggressive trade, they're able to get the full thing on the bomb, but it doesn't look like it's gonna be enough. As she still has an egg to go through, right? Alternative has 2 lives with that egg. So it's going to be tough, but Septi is moving into an aggressive position here. Never mind, he's going to go back to his jungle. I think that's fair. As Cherry, she's going to say, hey, I'm going to take this Cloud Drake for myself here. So,
Yeah, I think the only primo adaptation you could do with Red Side is look for a dive and then into Drake. As we see Tristana positioning aggressively, could be caught up.
she gets a ward and they spot out Baywa. They got to be careful that Alternative doesn't run over here to potentially stop Dab in his tracks. I think this is going to be almost a guaranteed Drake to the side of Contingent Orange. I've seen crazier, but I think it's gonna be hard unless a Kaisa W does something miracle. But no, we aren't gonna see that as Cherry's gonna pick up her empowered form and be pretty happy to walk around that map with a little bit more damage under her belt.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see, you know, or to Belveth, you know, obviously a comfort pocket pick for Cherry, but we'll have to see if they play more aggressively for the second set of grubs, not only to deny the 6, but also to unlock the Belveth to its fullest potential after taking those Voidling monsters, right? Just something interesting to note as we get into the early-ish mid-game portion of this game.
Early-ish mid-game, you know what? We don't really know. We don't
Yeah.
really know what to call it here, to be honest. But I honestly,
8 minutes is an awkward timer as we see Baywa potentially caught out.
Baywa, yeah, getting caught out here by Boulder here. Boulder is able to get the stun off, and I think that's going to be enough as Melio is in the area, has a lot of shielding, as he's actually healing so much, but it's not enough as that passive is going to be able to proc it off, and now Mocha looks to be the next target. Dark Ward is doing a lot of damage, but that flash from Mocha is going to make it so it's only a 1-for-0 there. That's a good turnaround, and that's what they need for Akuma to get back into this game.
Yeah, I mean, really good catch by AFK Boulder. A little bit of aggressiveness that we haven't seen in the past 2 games, and I'm glad that he was willing to pull the trigger, get that kill into Oswald's pocket, make sure it gets into that ADC that was kind of starved for gold for a little bit there. Now, granted, Baywa, I mean, you know, it's kind of a oopsie, like, I messed up, got caught out. You guys caught me with my pants down a little bit. But he has that Essence Reaver.
Now, cutting up top, we see Mundo's going to pop his ultimate, kind of get a little bit of aggressive trade, get his grass procs going. But Cherry actually is trying to find Oswald, doesn't get the knock up down. As Oswald's just trying to find a back timer here. But Lucian doing a good job, maybe trying to stop this base from going live. It stops Boulder, but it doesn't stop Oswald. And actually, he chooses to cancel the base here. He's trying to make sure he doesn't lose this massive wave. And when you have Septi hanging out, but that's a massive engage there from Boulder. He hits 2. He's able to get the stun off on Mocha, but I think when Oswald's hitting the minions, I don't think it's going to have enough damage. Septi maybe looking for something. The Swirl Seed doesn't land. It's a field goal going between the 2. As we see, there's nothing that's going to end up happening there, even after a pretty nice engage from Boulder.
But some pretty crucial cooldowns burned. Oswald had a flash away from Cherry, and then the ultimate from Boulder being used to try to set up that potential gank from Lilia. Just hair too early. Lilia was trying to finish the camp before making that play, and so some cooldowns, some massive cooldowns used. really amount to much, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, what wasn't talked about enough there is just the amount of struggle that happened on that back. But Dab is in potentially a bad
Dab's
spot here as he has his jump out, but Mocha's in the area to try to catch him with the messy soccer ball, but it's not going to hit this time as they're going to just back out. But honestly, Oswald was stunted so much on his base there, right? He
Yeah.
got canceled, I believe, either 2 or 3 times, and
Oh,
Lucian is
no.
just getting so much here as right now Bale's just doing a great job of kind of zoning out, even with the static shift and Kaisa's belt, but cutting up to
Kaisa's gotta
top
be
side here. I think they're
careful.
trying to fight over these grubs as we see the flash
Kaisa's
engage come out
1v1.
from Septi, but actually Oswald finds the aggression here.
Oh, no!
The Coling absolutely murders down, and it ends up being the 1-for-1 trade there. And now cutting up to the top side, we see 2 people hit by the Sleepy Soul, and oh my gosh, it hits 2, but it's not enough to get the kill.
Great play by
Dab
Dab.
flashes in with the W, but that's an Eggman. That's not the final kill, as Cherry's able to heal up a little bit from the jungle camps. But we see 3 people in. Septi's getting a lot of damage off. They're able to take off that egg. They're able to take down the goat. And right now, that's a massive, massive swing of events for Akuma there.
Yeah, and we were so wrapped up in the bot side play, but Klein definitely had first move on this Ornn, and I don't really know exactly what happened, but everybody got so low so fast. I don't know if it was a Tristana bomb that just hit all 3, but yeah, 2 for 1, and then 6 grubs going to be picked up. This Mundo might be able to be a side lane menace. We've seen it before.
We're starting to see a little bit more life on the side of Akuma, right? They're saying, hey, we're not going down without a fight. As they're trying to find these aggressive entries here, finding their way to get these fights started.
Very spot out.
Cherry is
Tristana's
spotted out,
here.
and she's actually choosing to go farther into the jungle. I would expect you to try to go out, but when Dab finds you, you got to be careful. But it looks like that blast cone is going to be her key to safety, as I think she's going to be completely fine here.
Yeah, nothing much to see there, and this Volley Tower holding on by a thread should go down in the next wave or so. As we see Anivia posturing around this dragon. Dead even gold, 6 grubs for the side of Akuma, but the early Drake in favor of Contingent. So we have ourselves a ball game here, folks.
We got ourselves a little ball game, and I know you talked about how even the gold is, but you know, after seeing a 1-for-1 and Cullen coming out, we see actually, we're going to talk about that later, but we see a flash engage come out from Boulder here. He's in the middle of 3, but Cherry lands her knockup onto Oswald, but we see a TP come out from Mr. Tristana. I think we're going to see a bit of a skirmish here as Tristana's trying to get involved. Going on Baywa here. Baywa is caught out behind as the bomb lands. That's so much damage. Septi's able to finish it off, and I think Cherry's going to be next, and she falls to Dab. And now Septi's looking for the engage, but I think he might be biting off a little more than he can chew as he's still trying to go in through, but it's really hard to fight a choke against Anivia here as they're going to still take that 2-for-0. And Akuma right now, they are on fire as they're able to pick up a dragon for themselves as well. Actually, never mind. We're just going to keep going. His alternative is caught out again. He did not respect the Boulder and the Dab hanging out on the side, and Dab's able to pick up 2 off of that TP play.
2 birds with 1 boulder, the dragon and the Anivia going down. As we see Klein
On the
just,
top lane, 9-line Klein says, I don't care about you, Goat Man. He's going to be able to take that.
which is
right in the
actually
face.
kind of massive. That bot lane tower was so low for so long, but it ends up falling first tower falling on top, and Akuma is showing their fight, backs against the wall, getting about 3.5k gold lead, and they're doing what I thought they should have done the previous 2 games, where they're really taking it to Baywa and applying pressure. That first gank didn't work out. Baywa was a beneficiary, but since then has lost out on a lot of trades.
Yeah, absolutely, right? We were expecting this lane to kind of be very dominant, and it still is dominant, right? He's up about 30 farm on Kaisa, but just a lot of kind of like overconfidence from the side of this bot lane, right? They haven't been aware kind of the positioning of Septi, right? Seeing if Dab could TP in, and I think they're still looking for angles, but Baywa really needs to try to keep accelerating this gold lead, right? At this point, he is still up 700 off the fact he got all of those plates. He got so much of that CS, but I think you need to start moving that gold up to the top side of the map, which he
Orange
might
has
be
to
doing.
Careful here. They're posturing aggressively for this Rift Herald, but this is the first game where they've really been down a significant portion of gold, so we'll have to see how this fight
We'll
goes.
have to see if this engage goes out as Septi is hit by the Ornn Horn. Cherry follows up with a knockup on the W here, but Cherry is able to not get that Shelly as Septi takes it, but he tries to get the ultimate off. I don't think it connected there as Lucian's now in this fight. He's doing a lot of damage as he takes out the Lily here. They will ease in aggressively, but I think with that Blast Cone, I think they're just going to walk out here as Peels does a good job of trying to guard this Rift Herald because no one's going to be able to pick up that eye.
Yeah, and it's kind of a major loss not being able to pick up the Herald, right? You secured 6 grubs, and that would have been a huge tool for knocking down these towers as the back actually doesn't get stopped by Cherry. But unable to pick up the eye, so that siege tool is lost. Ended up giving over a kill, but you know it's not the end of the world. You still have about a 2K gold lead, and while that fight didn't go your way, you're still in the driver's seat. As Cherry might be caught out here.
Cherry is potentially caught out here as Nineline Klein does find him on the side. He's just going to walk him down here potentially. I think he's going to keep walking. He thinks he has the
Oh,
angle here, but
engage.
Alternative is doing a great job of stopping it. But now cutting down to the bot side,
Okay.
Akuma does a great job of picking out this Lucian, right? There was so much attention drawn top lane. You saw me for once. And Bewa, I think he just got caught sleeping there as Boulder is looking to try to get more here. But Mocha does a good job of stopping this potential engage here from Alistar. As it looks like Mocha's going to be able to walk out of this one alive.
Let's give Boulder his roses, right? A couple rough games in games 1 and 2, and I was a little critical of the early Alistar pick, but has looked so comfortable and effective on this champion, and really making me eat my words. So good on him.
Good on him, yeah. As we're seeing, Cherry's trying to eat her chickens, make sure that she gets those stacks of lavender, I think is what it's called. But she's trying to still stay in the game, right? Velvet does have that really notorious early game spike, but she is still technically an infinite scaler, right? She can get a lot of stats. She can get that continuous attack speed build up. So she is a late game threat for this squad, right? Anivia also, she has the opportunity to, if it is a clean fight where no one's getting caught, she's going to get a lot of work done. If it's in the spot where they want to fight, right, in these jungle choke points, it's super, super tough for this Mundo to find an angle on this backline. And I think that is really what Contingent's going to be looking for moving forward in this game.
Yeah, and you know this is the first game where post 15 minutes, Akuma has a sizable gold lead. His Klein might die for this tower.
I think he said Money Man goes where he pleases as he's choosing to flash out here, but I think it might be for not as the spell immune is procced here. He doesn't have enough in the tank because he's not going to be able to get away from the Ornn knocking him up as that's a kill for Belveth and Cherry's got her empowered form. As you're looking now to maybe try to contest this Drake, but Boulder finds the angle onto Bewa again. Bewa keeps getting caught out here, but he brings over Boulder, and now with Dark Lord Oswald knocked up to the back, Oswald's not in the best spot as Cherry's going over the wall, and with the Goat Horn on top of it, I think it's not enough as Bewa's able to pick up that kill, and it looks like he might be able to get two, as he does on the Ornn. Not on the Ornn, the freaking cow. What's going on with me today, Righteous?
It's all good. And you know, we were just talking about that gold lead, and I think getting a little overzealous or maybe a little too hyped. You know, this is the first game where we feel like we have the tempo, and so we're trying to push our advantage. But bringing some gold back into Esports pockets isn't the play, and so unfortunately, two go down. But should be the end of the world.
Might go down as they look to find Lilia out of position as they do, and that is a flash, and it's a little bit late, but Bewa returns the favor and flashes after it too. Isn't even able to get the kill, gets an assist, but they do get mid tower off of it. They wanted to make sure that deer was dead, and they put that deer down.
Okay, now if you're Akuma, you really gotta regroup. You gotta say like, hey, we had the lead. Maybe they feel like they still do, but we can't keep throwing gold away, right? Which is exactly what they're doing. And so let's slow it down a little bit. You know, don't necessarily cut the aggression off. Still look for those angles and make sure you're punishing. But let's slow it down and stop the bleeding.
Yeah, 100%. Right now, I'm kind of wanting Akuma to lean more on Dab, right? Dab is sitting 3-1-3, right? He has that 1.3k gold lead on the Anivia alone. I think you need to be playing around this guy, whether that be trying to put him on side to get involved, right? I don't think a lot of champs can match him, but we see the TP come out, but it's going to get canceled by Anivia here. I could see it coming even when not watching, as it looks like it's going to be a 4v4, but Bewa has the untouched culling. He has the damage in the back. He's willing to play this 5v5, but Mundo's taking up a lot of damage in the back. Cherry's trying to get involved, as we see now the TP comes out from Anivia, but it might be a little too late, as I don't think they're going to be able to catch anybody down. But Cherry almost finds the angle, forcing out Oswald's flash, but the GOAT, I think it goes a little wide. I don't think it was going where they want, but Boulder's just trying to buy time at this point. And he ends up buying a good amount of time, as Dab's doing a good amount of work to that top
Gotta be
tower,
careful
but...
here, though, because they just passed up to the side, and he might end up dying.
He is probably in trouble here. If he outplays this, I will respect him. But I think Cherry... Oh, actually, he dodges the W there. That's what you need to see, as he's just going to be sitting here and autoing. But Cherry's basically a stat ball at this point. And when Alternative shows up in town, I think that's
Big
shut down.
Yeah, and now all of a sudden, you know, it's a 700 gold lead, which doesn't really mean much in the grand scheme of things. And so, you know, not the end of the world. Like I'll keep preaching, it's not the end of the world to get overzealous, but is that Hull Breaker on Mundo that I'm seeing?
Is that Mr. Mundo Hullbreaker? I'm very surprised to see that item, to be honest. Maybe they're just like, hey, we gotta play for this side lane split, right? We don't win
Yeah.
these fights. Which
Well,
I'm kind of surprised by. I know Tristana is a good side lane threat as paired with a Mundo, but I think honestly your strength does kind of come with playing with Tristana in these fights at the same time. She has her Bork, she has her Navori. It's a very, very strong point for this Trist, right? Even when looking at the next item, we don't know exactly what it's going to be, but that third item is still going to be super, super strong. And I think the more this game goes, I think it's more going to favor this double 80 carry comp.
yeah, but I kind of like the whole breaker adaptation because you can kind of essentially play 1-3-1 now. You can dictate the pace of the game to your own tempo. Just be a side lane menace on both sides. You know, the Tristana did have a lead. It's kind of thinned out now, but eats towers for breakfast, right? This Mundo really isn't threatened by an Anivia or an Orange. So be that thorn in the side. Use that whole breaker to its greatest advantage, and obviously Boulder take a lot of damage from the culling.
Yeah, Boulder took a lot of damage from the calling, but it looks like 9-line Klein, if he's going to try to find a way out of this one with the Hullbreaker Warmogs, he's just kind of walking around buying time. Cherry's happy to just continue autoing into him, as it looks like 9-line Klein's happy to just walk this one out, as they don't have enough hard CC. But now, looking up top, we see Baywa is caught out again. Dab finds the angle onto Baywa, right? Are they going to be able to burst him in time? But there's a lot of healing coming from Milio. Oh my gosh!
No.
And the Buster shot isn't going to be enough, but Boulder actually finds the kill onto Baywa. But I don't think it's going to matter, as Cherry is able to get a lot of kill and able to pick up Oswald here. She doesn't get the knock-up onto Septi, but Boulder is following, and I think that is a dead cow. That is roast beef at this point. And unless Septi can find a miracle, I think this is going to be a bad turn of events, as that ends up being a 3-for-1 for the side of Contingent here.
Yeah, and I mean, the whole breaker is great and all, but Anivia kind of a nullifier there. It was such great wave killer. Septi might die to Cherry as well. Oh,
Cherry
flat.
doesn't get the final tuck. Barely, she doesn't hit it. And we see TP comes out from Mundo trying to buy his team enough space, but I think it's a little bit too late. He spent his time lollygagging up top, and I think the members of Contention Orange are happy to just run this one away.
Yep, and so the gold lead has swung ever so slightly in the favor of Contingent Esports Orange. The drag coming up here in about a minute 30. If you're Akuma, you have to make sure you get there first, which was not a strong suit in game 2. We saw how it might bite them in the butt the last streak. If they're not there first, the Nivea makes it really hard for these champions to exist. Not a lot of great engage. You know, Boulder has found really great and unique angles, has that Hex Flash available, but just make it easy for you and be there first, which it looks like that's what their plan is.
Yeah, 100%. As we see, Akuma, they did what you said they couldn't do, right? They're trying to set up for this dragon, but now they're giving it up. No, they're really scared of Ornn coming in to try to buy time here, but I think it's still... Well, Cherry is on the top side here. They don't realize that, but Cherry actually might find an angle here to try to get involved. Is 9-line Klein's the target, but I think with his passive up, it's going to be tough. As they're trying to go into this brush here, as they're looking for an angle here, both teams are kind of feeling each other out, but I think they found Boulder. Boulder is the hard target to engage on, but we see a calling come out, and it's doing a lot of damage to Septi, as Septi is one shot before the fight can even begin, right? Boulder is kind of isolated on the fight here. He dies to Cherry, right? It ends up being a 2-for-0, and I think with the vision, I think that's basically going to be Baron taken over to the side of Contingent here.
Yeah, and we'll have to see. It looks like Dob has vision of them heading over, so they might like to trade for a dragon, but actually Nivea is sticking around to make sure that isn't the case. So covering all bases from Contingent Esports Orange, and you know, kind of took that early game punch to the mouth in stride and said, hey, you know, you guys can take your gold lead. As you see, Dab might be a little bit.
Yeah. Absolutely. As we see, Dab was trying to get involved, trying to find a way to contest alternative on this dragon, but I think when you don't have your team behind you, it's going to be tough. I think alternative just basically secures this for the rest of their team, and they're going to go to Soul Point, as it's going to be tough for for Akuma to kind of find some angles back into this one.
Yeah, and you kind of just have to be kicking yourself, right? Like, we had this lead, and it all kind of went south when, you know, Mundo over-aggresses for a tower bot, ends up dying, and then we take a bad fight in the blue side. You know, the Alistar ends up dying, and these little plays have led to about a 4K gold deficit, as Cherry might be caught out here.
Harry does seem to be caught out here, and it looks like even with the flash, Mundo 9-line Klein is able to pick up that kill. And we see Dab trying to get that aggressive TP. They're trying to make up
On
for
the
the fact
backside of
that
the
they had
fight.
this move. But 9-line Klein, he gets caught out by the wall, and he falls. As we see, Dab is actually now in a really bad spot, as he has nobody behind him, as Dab is probably going to be in a wild goose chase to get out of this one. He used the jump, but Bay was finding the angle. He's going to be able to get the autos out. But the Buster shot does a good job of stopping Alternative in his tracks. But right now we see a really weird position where the members of Contingent are kind of pinched, but I think they're okay to be pinched here as they're trying to get this group of 3 that are running away here, as it looks like that Ornhorn is going to be called out. It doesn't hit on the primary target, which is Boulder, but I think Boulder is in a bad spot. He's trying to buy space for his team, but I think with Baywa attacking him, with Peels knocking him up, it's going to be curtains for the cow again.
Yeah, and if you guys have ever read the Bible, it's kind of the sacrificial cow, right? It really buys time to make sure this Baron is nullified. It's not the greatest or most sexy play, but if you can waste time on a chase, it's better than nothing. As this tower should fall despite their efforts.
As it looks like 9-line Klein's trying to get involved, but they take the tower in front of their face. 9-line Klein, it looks like he's about to pop like a balloon. That support is not going to be enough, as that ultimate does not heal him back up. But Baywa going a little bit too aggressive here, as Septi's very willing to flash in to finish off that kill. And while Lucian gets the double kill, I think it honestly kind of hinders the pushing ability of Contingent Orange here.
I know. Our fears are coming to realization with these comps, right? We have the ornaments coming out, upgraded IE. We have an Anivia that didn't really do much in the early game, but really wasn't supposed to. Just making it hard for these fights as we see Boulder get caught out. The flash from
as we see a
Cherry.
very good flash engage there from Cherry, but that Anivia wall stops her from being able to dash over. She doesn't have that empowered form. And they're still able to get the pick on Boulder, but I think they kind of just jump scare Dab there a little bit as he kind of is untouched. But Alternative is running him down. He's up 2 levels there with the Roa diff. But right now, I think Contingent Orange is kind of at the point, hey, we have the lane state. We have the vision control. We have the jungle camps. They are in a good spot to potentially try to close out this game. But Septi trying to take some camps back of their own. Not going to go down without a fight. But Cherry trying to attack a 9-line Klein here, but he's still a Mundo at the end of the day, regardless of if he's 2 and 3. As we now see that Contingent Orange is trying to set up to siege this top tier turret.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about the Mundo being
but Septi caught behind the wall, unfortunately, and it doesn't look like. But Dab chooses to jump in there.
Was that tactical?
I don't know if that was tactical. I don't know if that was meant to happen. But that is absolutely not what we want to be seeing there on the, especially match point, right? I don't know if that's their hoorah. They're trying to go out with a bang, but I think absolutely you need this Tristana B in this fight. Be able to do some damage here. Try to siege this wave, but it looks like Contingent Orange are very happy to take that advantage, take that down, and they go for just get an inhib here. It's going to be double inhib.
They might just try to push to the end.
There is the angle
have that
here.
Wave.
As Septi is coming up in 5, but they're trying to find the angle here onto 9-line Klein, right? They're attacking this tower, finding an angle. Boulder gets a nice engage there. Hits 3, but I think it might be a little bit too late, as there isn't enough damage to follow up on the rest of the team, right? As 9-line Klein is just getting absolutely frozen to death in the ultimate. His Alternative's going to be able to finish off that kill. Dab gets the Buster shot, able to kill Lucian. Oswald's in the back. Is he going to be able to get it done? He's trying to get the kill onto Cherry. He gets the kill on Cherry, but it's not enough. And with a double kill for Alternative and Septi being the only person up, I think it's going to be really hard for this deer to hold on. I think there's an angle maybe, but probably not. The Orn knockup does miss, but the Milio kick hits that wall to buy enough space. The tower goes down, and that's an ace for the side of Contingent Orange. And unfortunately for Akuma, it looks like their playoff hopes are over, and Contingent Orange will be having their spot in the finals.
And good on Akuma for showing some fight, especially on that early game, right? They had the gold advantage, unfortunately, threw it away a little bit. And, as the #1 seed goes down, it's an upset, but it really isn't an upset. Orange showed throughout the regular season they were a very good team and still are a very good team, and will be moving on to finals from play-in stage. And if you're Akuma, gotta be shaking your head. We probably could have played this series a little bit better. Maybe it was draft, maybe it was gameplay, maybe it was nerves, but showed a lot of promise in game 3. Unfortunately, falls short of the reverse sweep denied. That is a quick 3-0 for Orange.
I think there was, yeah, we talked about it. There was a lot of life in the side of Akuma, right? They had that angle game three where they were able to pick up that kill in lanes where they shouldn't have, right? That Lucian got ahead really early, but they were able to pick up some return kills. Had the angle, but I think that honestly, the turning point was kind of overextending into the jungle of Contingent Orange, right? They went for the pick, and I think it was Baywa was able to get away barely, and they were able to turn around on Boulder and Kaisa. And it just resulted in a snowball, right? And it's just very, very hard to kind of like recover from that point, and it's just Contingent Orange. We're in the Warden League, right? This is Diamond. These teams know how to close out games if they get these wins, right? And it's just from that point, it was just so hard. And I think when you're playing into when you're playing a siege comp, but you're playing into an Anivia, it becomes even harder, right? And so it was tough, and we just weren't able to see it done for Akuma today.
Yeah, and moving forward, do we know the results of the second semifinals?
I
All right.
don't. We don't know the results just yet. I think the other series on the other side, or other semifinal match between NLE and Seneca, is still going on. So, for all viewers, we'll have the opportunity to go over there. I think we'll give a couple more remarks, and then we'll be sure to go and say hi over on Alexi stream too.
Yeah.
Just let him know what's up, right? But yeah, for Akuma, I think they came in a little complacent, right? Having the top lane switch, I don't know if that's a team dynamic thing, or if it was just like maybe he just wasn't feeling it on the day, but it just ended up being not what they needed, right? We saw that Peels did a great job of kind of playing that weak side style, right? Played the Ornn, played the Gragas, even played Rumble. Not a weak side champ, but was still able to get a lot of value, right? He was playing kind of like up to his weight with Nine Line Klein, who's playing in like that upper diamond level. So shout out to him. Also, just like I want to shout out specifically Cherry.
Yeah.
Cherry was getting so much of a lead in the jungle, and it was kind of just like not an underrated, but like she was just up like 80 CS like every game. And it's just like those like sleeper leads where you're not actually like getting the kill, kind of not the glamorous leads, are what ends up winning you the game at the end of the day. She had so many good flash engages, right? We saw that flash flag and drag. We saw the
Mhm.
flash knockup. It didn't end up resulting in stuff, but just honestly, all the players of Contingent Orange did a great job. Mocha as well, right? We talk about it. We'll probably see it in the highlight video next week, that 4-man Seraphine ult, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Contingent Orange just came to play today, and Akuma wasn't ready for it.
And he's going to be a very, very scary opponent for whoever wins that second semifinals match. I think the unsung hero for me is probably Alternative. He showed his dynamic playstyle with that Yasuo game one, looked really effective. Showed an innovative build with that Stridebreaker as well, but then totally flipped the script. Played some passive mages, the Lissandra, the Nivea. Showing his versatility and kind of being that glue for the comps to come together. This team is firing on all cylinders. It seems like they're definitely a team that has gone to work, has hit the gym, ironed out the kinks, and despite ending fourth in the regular season, looks like a really strong contender for bringing home a whole shebang. So really excited to see them in finals.
I completely agree, right? And we're gonna have to see who ends up matching them in finals, right? I think that's gonna be it for us over on LXE Stream One, right? Just it's been a great stream as always, right? It was a good
Yeah.
series. It was a banger 3-0 at the end of the day. Maybe it didn't
Yeah.
go to 5 games like we wanted, but maybe the series over on the other side will go to 5 games. As I think we're gonna look to be rating them in just a second, and I want all of you guys, you specifically watching, to go over there and show the support. All right. I'm gonna be signing out. It's been Badger. It's been a great stream, guys.
Are we good? So keep
Am I
on
still
moving.
hanging out on stream, guys? What's up?
Yeah, I don't know. Are we still here?
You know, I mean, hey, I'm
Okay, well,
all right. We're almost on the raid. We're
goodbye.
raiding. We're actively raiding. Sorry, guys. I'm a little silly goose. I don't know how raids work. Apparently, we're moving over there. we're trying to get our way
We're
over
actually
there.
trying
We're
to
gonna be
figure it out.
moving, but
When you
you
guys
know,
get there, everyone lie and say Kuma won. Just
just
throw us
just
for a
prank them.
loop.
All right, we're off now. We're off now. Okay. E.